Hello. There it is. Welcome. We're back. It is Saturday. We don't usually stream on Saturday. We've been streaming this month because I'm working on a project for a game jam. This is something that we've done on the channel before. We did the Ink Jam previously in like fall of 2020. That was over a 3-day weekend, and it was incredibly stressful and incredibly exhausting. So this time, we have chosen to enter into the Metroidvania month game jam. So instead of trying to do a whole game in a single weekend, we're working on a game over the course of a month. That is essentially the scheme. Oh, you know what? I gotta make this smaller. Giant Spatula says, "Oh, hello." Let me make this smaller. So the idea has been what is the word? The conceit has been that we'll spend. Your camera's a bit out of focus, always. All right, let's try to fix it. Please. I can't fix this very well. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. Let me see. Let me put this into a mode where I can see my face bigger. Yes, the idea has been that we want to. No, it's good now. Sorry. Okay, no worries. I want to spend Saturdays doing long streams, but not super long streams. I just spend like 4 hours on the weekend trying to do the most interesting kind of work. And then during the week doing all the boring stuff. And we have a GitHub with all the code, and I'm posting builds every time there's anything interesting to show as an update on itch so that people can try that out. And that way, that's all happening during the week. Anyway, I think that a good place for us to start. Well, actually, before we look at what we have now, let's start by talking about what we want to do today. So let's bring up TextEdit because we love TextEdit on the stream. It's our text editor of choice. Make it bigger. So let's say, what are we doing today? So last time, previously, live stream growing a mustache, long stream. I mean, I could trim away the rest of it. That would sort of create the illusion. We could just do lower and lower guards, and that would create the illusion of maybe growing a mustache. That might help. But otherwise, yeah, it would be an incredibly long stream. So previously, we wrote a lot of framework code. Wrote a lot of framework code that was, I think, not super interesting to watch as we tried to define abstractions like what is an item, what is a zone. That's also what I've been doing during this week, if I'm honest. I think today we need to lock in what mechanics we want in our game and start to work on them. So we don't need to finish them all today. We don't need to get them all in place. But I do think we need to start being committal this week. There were ground rules, but we lost them. The most important one, really the golden rule, if you will, is that if it looks bad, that's fine. That's fine. No sound. And it does have to be a Metroidvania. Can't type. Because that's the prompt. Also, alchemy. Cool. Let me show you what we have so far, and we can leave this somewhere in the background for us to refer back to if needed. This is what we've got so far. So at the end of last week, we had a little bit of platforming, some little objects that we were getting stuck on. I've done a little bit more. All of the art and stuff is going to be placeholders. They're here. There's art here to help us tell things apart from each other. Is really the only thing, and the background is here to help us see movement, even if things are looking if like the platforms look the same on stream. So for instance, if there was like a really long platform in the middle, we would want to be able to tell that we're moving the whole time. Cool. So what do we have? So we are a little box, and we can double jump if we so desire. The number of jumps is configurable, so we could make that higher or lower if we wanted to. Probably, one would imagine it would start at one jump, and then maybe double jumping is something we would unlock later in a Metroidvania style. But that's fine. What else have we done? We've got these little objects littering here. I used to collide with them as the player, but I have since figured out, but you know what is interesting? Some of them I go behind and some of them I go in front of. That's something we can do not today, but that's a thing that can be fixed. We've now got it so that they collide with platforms and with each other, but they won't collide with the player. So we're not going to be platforming on top of these or doing anything like that. We also introduced this mechanic where you can pick things up, because one of the things that we did last time was we wrote this abstraction for having an inventory. So we defined the idea of an object. Previously, objects had like a little toggles for, is this a floor or is this an item? That has since been changed. So now these are two separate classes. One of them is a class for pick-upables, and one of them is a class for platforms. It was what we needed to do. That was the better abstraction. So anyway, so we've got these pick-upables, so let's pick them up. Boom! You can see that we've got a tiny bit of a placeholder UI down here, so we can see the little item that we've picked up is right there in our little inventory, and we can pick up more than one, just like that. We also, besides being able to pick up items, we have the ability to put them down. For fun, I made it so you toss them. That's pretty easily taken out or adjusted. I don't know if that's something we would actually want in the game, but if you give it press the Q button, it gives them a little toss, which is kind of fun. Good, that looks really good, balancing on the handle like that. And if you go faster, it spins faster, so there's a little bit of torque on it, which is kind of fun, I guess. This is about what we have so far. Again, a lot of this is placeholder code. There are some things here which you can't see unless you go and look at the screen like this. You'll see that when we are out of a zone, so these different squares are defining the boundaries of a zone. We can draw the background differently, but I've put them here so we can see where the zones are. When we are not in a zone or a zone adjacent to it, everything in the zone gets deactivated, so that the script isn't doing checks or doing any kind of updates on stuff that's supposed to be over here. And you can see if we go back to the game, and we go, let's drop this over here maybe, and we run over here, and then look again, zoomed out, you'll see that everything over here is unloaded. What else can we see? If we go to this little view on the side here, it's a bit small, but you'll see, for instance, let me start this over. So at the beginning, we have a zone which has floor in it and also this green juice. If I take the green juice, it goes out of zone 1 and will appear in my player's inventory. That's not so special or amazing. But what is maybe better is that if, for instance, I am going to drop this here, you can see it goes to zone 2 and then it moves to zone 3 when it crosses the line. Right now, zones are only being defined horizontally. We won't do it today because it's just going to be a lot of arithmetic, but the concept is easily extensible to vertical zones as well. So right now, our level design would just be one big long line, but there's no reason that we couldn't. If we wanted to do tiles instead of rectangles, we could. Well, they're all rectangles. Instead of vertical slices, not vertical slice. That's a real term. You know what I mean. Right now, because right now, like, this square is representing the zone, but really this, all the way from top to bottom, is the zone. All of the airspace and underground space is the zone. Anyway, what are we going to do today is worth asking. One of the ideas I had is so the theme is alchemy, right? And so there are some features that I think I want to try to put into this game. Let's go to our little notepad, because we should make a to-do list. I think is always useful. Let's go to-dos. I think that we should... So the theme is alchemy, and alchemy is all about change, right? And so I think that we want to start putting in some of these mechanics that are going to let us change things. So one of them is going to be materials. And so the idea is maybe platforms have materials that will cause them to act in different ways. So if we look at this, what is it? Is it called platform? This platform class, it's very short right now. That's kind of a breath of fresh air. We might want to put like a platform property on this and have platforms be a material property rather on this, and have platforms behave differently if they're different materials. And then we can do things like give the players ways to change those materials. Maybe that's going to open up new paths or open up new ways for people to interact with the world. So materials on platforms. The other thing that I would want to maybe introduce is we've got this tiny UI here. It's a bit of a joke. We could work on the UI. I don't know if that would be super interesting to watch. But for instance, right now, your items here are in a stack, right? So you pick them up and then drop them in the opposite order that you pick them up. There's no way for me to like select if I'm holding the candle and the green juice. There's no way for me to drop the candle while keeping the green juice right now. That's just the way that I wrote it for simplicity to begin with. That's something that we could work on. So we could do better UI/UI controls. Or last, I think that the other mechanic that we're going to want in here. So in my mind, the rough shape of this right now is, we know that we want this to be a Metroidvania. We know that we want it to be about alchemy. My thought is you're going to go around and pick up. It's going to be very similar to Cake King because I have a very narrow imagination. But maybe we are picking up ingredients, putting them together, combining them in various ways to make potions and oils and sprays or whatever that are going to have an effect on the environment, that are going to change the material of things in the world. An example would be like maybe you've got something that's lead and so it sinks and you turn the lead into wood and now the wood floats. Or something like this. Again, very vague. To make the lead to wood potion, maybe you find the recipe somewhere. Maybe you discover it through experimentation. Probably not that. You collect the ingredients that you need and you put them together. So we need some kind of a recipe is a thing that we need. Recipes and also combining stuff. We need to nail down what that mechanic is going to be. These are vague items right now, but tell you what, let's start with I might look at the UI to get started, just to warm up here, because I also haven't looked at this code in a couple of days. I was doing this every night, and then I stopped the last couple of days of the week. So let's take a look. So let's open up where's the UI defined? I think it's actually written in pickupable, now that I'm thinking about it. Remove from screen. Oh no, it's going to be on inventory, isn't it? So the way that I've written this right now, anything, the player can have an inventory, but maybe an object could have an inventory. An inventory is just this idea of a collection of items. And inventories can optionally have a canvas, which probably shouldn't be a canvas. We should probably, I think that I don't know Unity that well, but I think you're only supposed to have one canvas at a time. So probably this needs to be an image instead. And the image is going to be something like this little image down here of the 3 gray boxes that we attach these to. So maybe let's make that change first. Let's try that. Let's try attaching this inventory to an image instead. So to do that, I'm going to go... Oh, I also figured out how serialized field works, by the way. Last time we were just slapping it all over the place because I didn't know what it does. Serialize, so if a field is public, then we can modify it from here. So like this platform, that's not a good example. This player inventory has inventory items, and this field can be modified from the editor. Private fields ordinarily can't be modified from the editor unless you put this serialized field little tag over them. And so that's what that does. Now we know. So if we want something to be private in our code, but public to our editor, that's how we do that. Okay, so let's make this not a canvas. I said we were going to save the least boring work, but I do just need to warm up a little bit. So we'll make this an image, and we'll call this inventory background. And let's go. So everywhere that we need a canvas, we're going to have to instead have to say if this dot inventory background this needs to only be 1 is not null. So if this has an inventory background, so right now it's optional that a inventory appears on screen, and I think that that's how I want it to be. Until we can commit to an idea like every inventory always appears on screen somewhere as part of the UI. Make them variable. Right. So the easy way to do this now would just be to get the canvas from the from the image. Can I assume that the image is always, the parent of the image is always going to be a canvas? Let's just write that down. Assuming that parent of inventory background will be a canvas. We will go just like this. Canvas, canvas. equals this dot inventory background dot transform dot get parent. Is it with uppercase? Yes, it is uppercase. Okay, dot parent. I think it's actually, I think we just access this directly. They want me to use a method when we're setting the parent. Let's just check on that, actually. So this is the other thing that we do a lot is look through the Unity documentation, right? So we'll go Unity, transform. Of course, these are all purple links. We've been here before. Let's say parent. Gonna be a lot of things here. Let's scroll down. Public methods. Where is set parent? And is there a get parent that I should be using as well? Get child exists. Returns a transform child by index. Okay. Get parent? Seems like no. I guess that I just access that parent. Public methods. Does this have a property called the parent? Great. We'll just access the parent directly then. We won't use a getter. Cool. So the inventory background .transform.parent is the canvas. Nope, that's not going to work. Because parent is going to be another transform, right? So how do I go from the transform to the actual thing? Parent.parent.name. No, I don't want the name. I want the game object. Do you think that will work? This is going to be wacky. This is just going to be... So we're doing a lot of chaining in these... Working with Unity here, I've noticed. There's a lot of like thing.transform.parent.gameobject. I wonder if there's a way that we can get away with doing less of that. It's resulting in a lot of really long lines of code that I don't really have a good way to break up. Whereas some of like this one here where it's like this.currentzone.gameobject .position.x just some really, really long chains to get this here. So, we have the option of breaking this up by declaring it as new variables kind of over multiple lines, but I don't know that actually becomes that much easier to read. It's an issue that we may revisit at one point, but it's mostly a style thing. Okay, inventory background.transform.parent.gameobject. Oh my gosh, get component. I also found out the other thing I found out that I was doing wrong last time was whenever we call add component, I was previously doing add component and then getting the thing that on the next line with get component. I didn't realize that add component returns the component that was added. So we've been able to consolidate a lot of lines actually that way. Anyway, but we're getting a component which is a canvas. Great. So there's the canvas. And anywhere that we're using the canvas, which will be, it'll say like this.canvas, just changes to canvas.transform. Cool. Let's also grab this. And we'll just say assumes the parent. And actually, let's keep that comment elsewhere because this code is close together now, but it may get far apart over time. And we'll say this dot canvas. This should be instead on inventory background. Does not equal null. I seem to keep forgetting the letter D. Great. Game object. Oh, what do we use the canvas for here? Oh, we don't need the canvas here. Is that correct? Maybe. And this... Okay, let's see if this works. So this should compile, but we'll have to change something in our editor here, which is... Maybe it won't compile. No, it compiled. Okay, cool. In our editor, this player's inventory, instead of being linked to the canvas, which it was before, it needs to be linked to this image. And so we can also put in code that is going to... set the position of items that we add to the inventory according to the position of this image. But that'll be, let's test what we have so far first. And we'll name this like player inventory or something would be a better move. Let's just make sure we can pick this up and it appears where it's supposed to. Great, that all seems to work. Good. Okay, let's go to the image. I'm just going to rename this as player. Let's call it inventory background. So what we're building toward is I want to be able to go to a box, press some button that's going to open it, and like a little UI item, a little, one of these little bars, I want to appear above the container that we're interacting with and show the items that are inside. I think that would be fun. Oh, another thing we could try to do, let's put this as like a maybe. We can do clicking on stuff in the UI. This is also probably maybe a good one to punt to do off stream, since there's going to be a lot of like just reading documentation. Cool. So, what have we done so far? No behavior changes to our code so far. Already off track from the original premise of doing exciting stuff on stream. And size for real UI, make them variable. Oh, so maybe I shouldn't do this yet. If we don't have the real position. Can I get that? Let's look at the image and see if I can get the X and Y coordinates. So the other weird thing here is that Unity UI items do not really, their position and kind of where they're anchored on screen is using abstractions that I'm not really familiar with. So like I would, as a dumb person who isn't familiar with Unity, I would expect that you would like set an X and Y coordinate on the screen maybe to pin these things to. But instead it's just a little, it's not like that. You have like an anchored position. You can kind of do that. That's what we're doing here with this like anchored position thing. But it seems like that's not the main way we're supposed to be interacting and placing these items. My feeling is it might be to support different like screen sizes as well, but I don't know what the actual motivation is. And I tried to understand it. I can't say that I understand it yet after reading through some of the documentation. Or at least not well enough to make it do what I want consistently. Okay, let's see. So item rectangle, blah, 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 blah. Can I get the X and Y of this image? Is there like a position or like a... You can grab focus, experimental, no. Yeah, see, so this is what I mean. Can I... Anchored position. Is that something that exists here? Oh, does this need a rectangle transform? So when I go to player inventory background, you'll notice this has an image, but it also has a rectangle transform. So I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let's go to... Because it says two different components. And the rectangle transform is what actually places it on the screen. Hey, Zephyr, thank you for the light snacks. Contribute to the Grow a Mustache Challenge. Fantastic. Rectangle transform, maybe they want to be one word. Nope. How? Is it rect transform? Excuse me. I can't believe that I would dare to write the whole word rectangle. Here it is. So how can I get this? Hey, what's up? What's this game about? Let's let me show you what we have so far. Right now, I would say it's too early to honestly say that the game is about anything in particular. So the prompt is make a Metroidvania game in a month. I worked for a week. Let me show you what we have so far. The theme is alchemy. So there are images. There's kind of graphics that are here. They're placeholder graphics. They're not things for the final game. They're only here so that we can distinguish objects from each other, which is a little bit important. So this is what we have so far. Prepare to be not impressed. So we're a little square. We can run. We can double jump. The number of jumps is configurable. I can pick up these items that are here. They collide with the environment, but not with the player. They go into our little inventory UI that's down here, and I can also throw them to move them around. Can hold up to 3 stuff. Can't hold 4 things. Just little things like this. The other code I was showing earlier is that if we're far away from stuff, so like the platforms up on over on the far right, those things get unloaded. So these things are not active right now, and you can see that they're grayed out over here. That's what we have so far. Alchemy is the prompt. Today's goal is to lock in the game mechanics that we actually want to build for this game. So we're not going to write a layout. We're not going to write a story. We're not going to draw a bunch of pictures yet. Today is about trying to say, like, okay, what is everything that you can do in this game? And then start to implement that. Anyway, That's where we are. Good. Groovy. Not very far. Right now, I need to figure out how do I find where a thing is. Anchored position. So does the anchored position have... Is this something that I can access? Or are they just setting the anchored position? Position of the pivot of this rectangle transform relative to the anchor reference point. The anchor position is the position of the pivot of the rectangle transform taken into consideration. Sounds cool, actually. I like the alchemy theme. Yeah, so the theme is part of the game jam. And so the idea is, my vague idea, is we're going to go around collecting ingredients, because we always collect ingredients in the games that I make for game jams, and combining them together to make potions that are going to change the materials of platforms in the world, and walls and, parts of the level. And so that will kind of capture this idea of recipes and changing things from one thing to another. Later down the line, if we have basically if we have time to attach any kind of a story to this, I think I would also want it to be about change, but it is we have way bigger fish to fry before we can really think about that. Mercy. Okay, so can I access like the X and Y of its anchored position? Anchored position, so they set it here. Oh, okay, it's just a vector too. Okay, so yes, we can. Groovy. So check it out. So instead of saying the item rectangle is being set at, instead of putting its anchored position here, negative 47.5 plus 47.5, geez, this all does need to be updated, and these things do all need to be moved to variables. But for the moment, let's say that, we'll say background. Okay. It's going to be a vector 2. This is a vector with 2 items in it. Background position equals this dot inventory background. And this assumes that inventory background is not null, so we're not going to get in trouble trying to access this. Inventory background dot anchored position. Cool. Then we can set this, instead of putting it at like, this actually might end up being the same, because I think this X coordinate is going to be 0, but let's just try it like this. Let's go, instead of putting it this negative 275 number, let's say background position dot Y. Let's see if this puts us anywhere near where we're supposed to be. I think that's a lowercase y. They might yell at us and say it needs to be uppercase. Anchored position has no accessible extension method. Anchored position. Anchored position. Background position dot Y. Will that make them happy? No, it doesn't have a Y. Okay. Let's read this more closely. So it says, image does not contain a definition for anchored position, because it's not an... Oh, yeah. Okay, so speaking of doing a lot of chaining, check it out. We're going to go inventory background dot game object dot get component, and the component that we need from this game object is a rect transform. So actually... No, that's fine. Rect transform, anchored position. Yes. Fine. Maybe this will work. This needs to be... Okay, dot anchor position. So if we get the rectangle transform, which is the thing that decides where on the screen to put this, game object does not contain a definition of get component because the capitalization is wrong. Boo! There are competing standards for how things should be capitalized at work in the Unity code, and it bums me out. It's not as bad as when I used to write ActionScript for Flash, but it is bad. That was a case where there were some doing like geometry stuff in ActionScript. It may still be this way, but I don't know if anybody writes ActionScript anymore. Some functions were written using degrees, and some of them were using radians. And so to like do things like rotate an object, but also like if you wanted to check its rotation later, you were constantly converting back and forth from degrees and radians, and it was an absolute nightmare. Okay, this seems to kind of work. And look, the y coordinate is right. That's what we wanted to see. So that's good. So that means we no longer have to define in code the exact location of this y. And I can demonstrate what that means by moving this. So if we go scene, this is the other thing that I wanted to be able to do is move a lot of the stuff around just with our mouse. So like this is different from on Cake King, we had to define the locations of everything in code. Here we can just move things around and press play, and those positions will be updated, which is just kind of nice. But that actually might not work for the UI. the inventory background, though, we can move to, let's move this instead of 275, let's move it up to be like 225. Just as, this isn't where we're actually going to put this, it's just going to be as an example. So we'll see it'll be up above the bottom of the screen where it doesn't belong. But when I pick up an item, if everything is working, the item should still be in the right place. And there it is. Good. Okay, so that does work. Fantastic. Love to see it kind of work. And so let's do the same thing with the X coordinate. The goofy thing about this is that the X coordinate is going to be... Ooh, can I move the anchored position of this? So right now the anchor for this item is like when we set the coordinates for this item, it's what part of it should be at those coordinates. So right now the anchor point is right in the middle. But I wonder if we set the anchor point to be on like the left, or is it the, yeah. Will that let us do things a little bit different? Let's see what this does first. Will this shunt this over to the side? Seems like no, which is good. Can I then say that the X position of this new item that we add when we add an item to our inventory, can I, instead of doing this negative 47F plus this, can I do background position dot X? Oh, this is going to be a little bit off, but we'll dial it in. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Times this, watch what happens. So they're going to be, the items, my prediction is the item will appear almost in the right place, but it'll be a little bit to the left of where we want it. And we'll probably need to add like 10 pixels to that. Let's see. Oh! Nope, that's not what I thought would happen. There you go. Now, why has this happened? And if I pick up 2 items, that is not what I expected. Let's... Oh, programming is fun, isn't it? Let's do this a little bit different. Mercy. Okay. What does that mean? It means that I don't really understand how this works. I thought that I did, and I clearly don't. So let's put this back in the middle for now. Hilarious as that was. And this will now put it... What will this do? What have I done now? This will put it... The first one will appear in the middle when it's supposed to appear on the left. That's my prediction. Good. And the next one will appear here, and the next one will appear off the bar. That's fine. Okay, we can work with that. It's not really what I wanted, but I can work with it. So we'll say we need some offset to start. This will be, can we just do -2? That might be a little bit lazy, but let's see if this works. Will this always assume that there are... We should configure this to the number of items in the inventory. Okay, so instead of hard coding that -2 that I just did, we are going to make that variable as well. And it's going to be based on the maximum number of items that are allowed in our container. What does this assume? This assumes that containers are always... The UI for a container is always going to appear in the middle of a screen. It's something that we'll have to amend later. But for the moment, let's say that that's fine. So, okay, this background position plus 47.5 times this dot inventory items dot count minus, instead of 1... How far back do we have to go? The number of slots. Okay, so we can make this work as long as the inventory has... Okay, let's just write this in. Let's say assumes the inventory has an odd number of slots. And the count will have to be... Basically, this number is going to be 1 plus... if you look at this UI... There's one item, you'll see what I mean in a second. There's one item in the middle, and then on each side there's 1. So basically we want that number, instead of 2, to be 1 plus the number of items that are on either side here. And in this case, that will, how will we define that? That is going to be minus 1 divided by 2. So if I say minus 1, we'll consolidate this a little bit. We'll simplify this in a second. We'll say this dot capacity, so that the number of items that we can have in the inventory, we are assuming that that's going to be an odd number, so we're going to subtract 1 from it and then divide it by 2. And this will need to be in parentheses. This is a big, ugly line that needs to be made more readable at some point. Hello, please take me back. Let's say to do, clean up this line. Because that is too much. Too much going on in that one line of code. Method name expected. Okay. Sorry, where was this? Line 37. That's where we are. That is this line. What have I done wrong? Is this the wrong number of parentheses? It sure looks like it. Let's see. The parentheses are... No, it's the right number of parentheses. Perhaps they're in the wrong place. Can I see which paren this matches with? That seems right. Times... Oh, this needs one more here. Okay, cool. Let's see it. Method name expected. What have I done wrong? Okay, let's see. I'm sure this is just parentheses that are wrong. So plus, this matches with... Oh, there needs to be an operator here. 1 minus this capacity minus 1 divided by 2. Okay. This could be better written as this dot capacity plus 1 divided by 2, right? Would simplify this whole expression. Let's find out. And then we could remove some extra parentheses here. Should be cool. Always good to remove some parens. That doesn't look right to me. What have I done wrong? This dot capacity plus 1 divided by 2. Yeah, that should work. Let's find out. And so what we'll be able to do, hopefully, is increase the number of slots in the inventory. It won't change the UI, but we should see that the offset of the item will remain correct. We'll basically appreciate the fact that there could be 5 items. It's weird to have this constraint, so that still works. That's good. Those are appearing in the right place. And if I do something silly like, oh, I don't know, add so that there can be 5 items in the inventory. That needs to be configured in the editor, though. So here, my capacity of my inventory, instead of 3, I'm going to make it 5, and those items should slide over correctly. And basically, the first one will be out of our inventory, the second one will be in it, and the third and the fourth one will all be there in the right place. That looks good. Okay, that works. Cool. So we're working towards having kind of... We're getting there. Cool. Let's change this back to 3 before we forget. And out of interest, what if I moved this player inventory background around? This is the last thing that I want to check, is if I put this X at like, I don't know, negative 50, and we move this back up to negative 225. So that's going to be out of place, but will the items still be in the right place compared to the little inventory box? Yes, they are. Good. That's what we wanted to see. Nice. Great. Groovy. Cool. And this is all configuration that I just changed here. So the code doesn't need to change, but I do need to change in the editor to 75. Negative 275. Cool. Groovy. Okay. Let's try making a box. I think that's the next step here. So better UI/UI controls is probably still on the menu. But let's make our top item, make a box. And let's make a container. We'll make a container. So this is just going to be an item on the screen that is going to have an inventory. It will not be itself. It could be pick-upable, but that's probably a bad idea. Let's not do that. There'll just be an item on the screen. We won't be able to collide with it. It won't move. It's just going to have its own inventory and a little UI thing that appears above it. The trouble, or that maybe that appears when we like press a button on it, right? So that like an inventory can be opened or a container can be opened or closed. So let's do that. Let's make a new class that's going to be called container, which is separate from an inventory. An inventory is the collection of items, and a container is the object in the world that has the inventory attached to it. So I'm going to go like this, just so that the project knows about it. I'm going to go create a new C# script. We're going to call this container. So basically, we're going to define this container class. It's going to be a new behavior, and that means we're going to be able to put it on any of our objects that are here in our scene. So for in the same way that like this floor is a platform because we've added this platform script to it, we'll be able to add the container script to something on the screen, and that'll make it function as a container. What will the container need? It will need some kind of a collider on it so that we know when the player is touching it, the same way that items have. The way that we've written the item class, you don't have to put those on here directly. Those colliders are being added with the code, added programmatically, which is just for convenience and making it a little less of a pain to add new stuff with the editor. So, mercy. Long way to go. Long way to go. That keeps keeps coming back to that. We got a long way to go. So let's do it like this. Let's go. So the design that I'm thinking of right now, that I have in my head, is like this. I'll show you what we would do in the game. So we've got our little inventory down here. We would go over to like an item that would be, so like pretend this is our container, right? This isn't a candle. This is a little box. We go over to the box and we press some button, and like another UI will appear over our UI that's like, here's the stuff that's in this box that we can look at. Kind of like opening up the, a chest in Minecraft or something, right? There's a new menu that pops up that shows you all the stuff that's in the chest. Yeah, that's what we're going to attempt to do here. So there's a lot to do to make that work, but I think we can get there. And this will be nice. Everybody likes to open a box in a game. I think that going up to something in a game and not knowing what's inside it and opening it up and finding it inside is just a nice mechanic you can put in that everybody will always love. Just a simple kind of a little dopamine thing. So let's open up our container class. Container's a bit of a rough word to use because a container, for instance, in Java, right, just means like a data type that holds a bunch of stuff in it. Let's make sure that container is not any kind of a reserved word in C#, because it seems like it could be. And we don't want to be like overwriting anything. Container C#. Is this a class? Container class. I was fearful of this. Okay, let's call this... Let's not call this container. That is a good shout. Instead, let's close this for the moment. Yeah, close container. And let's call this something different. We will rename this to boy. Pick-upable container. That's a long name. But an item is a pick-upable. So we could say... yeah, we're going to do it. It's a pick-upable container. I'm sure we'll regret this later, but that's fine. Container. And we got to change this name here. Pick-upable. Another thing I regret is doing pick up with an uppercase U, but that's fine. Okay, so pick up bubble. A pick-upable container. This is not a container that can be picked up. This is a container for things that are pick-upable. Let's say there will be no container that can be picked up. That is not going to be within our design. Okay, so where do we get started? So this has an inventory on it, right? We're going to say this is going to have a... and let's not make this inventory public unless we have to in the code. But we should serialize it because we want to be able to add items to this inventory from the editor. And then on start, so when this first gets started up for the first time, do I need to do anything with this inventory? Probably not. Do I need to do anything with this inventory on start? I was thinking that I did, but now I'm blanking. Let's leave this here for now. We might come back and put something in start. Update, I don't think needs anything. Okay, so actually, right now this just has an inventory. And we need to be able to add and remove items from the inventory maybe at the press of a button. But that interaction shouldn't be defined on this pickupable container class. It should be defined on... Okay, so here's the new thing that I'm thinking. How much of a difference... How different is this pickupable container from just putting an inventory on something? And can we just say... I'm thinking about it. I actually don't think we need a pickupable container. I think we can make it so that if you put in... If something has an inventory on it... No, it does need a class because we need to put the collider on it, and that's what I was forgetting. So let's take a look at what we did for pickupable. Use my cool little Emacs command to find pickupable right away. Okay, so start. So if this item is placed from editor, add stuff every pickupable needs. This will only be placed from editor, so we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to put this like if this placed programmatically. So we'll say this.gameObject. So you will just, from the editor, you'll just put the pickupable container script on this, and when the game starts up, it will put on these other components that you're going to need. So you're going to this.gameObject, and actually I can literally just grab these things. I don't know that I need a rigid body. Let's just grab a box collider for now. So a rigid body is going to make this... Why is this wrong? Why don't you like this line of code anymore? Oh, because there's a missing semicolon. Got it. The highlighting was wrong. It made me very suspicious. I don't think that we need the rigid body 2D right now. We might just need the box collider 2D. Do we need to say is trigger? I think that I do. So we'll say box collider. Oh, man. Okay. Box collider. It's uppercased. 2D. We'll call this collider equals this.gameObject, blah, blah, blah. So as we mentioned before, add component returns the component that was added. So we don't need to do a get right after that. We can declare this all in one line. Then we're going to say collider.isTrigger equals true. This is going to make it so that we the player can, like, parts of the player script will fire off when they collide with this. And does it need any other information right now? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this is going to be sufficient for the moment. Move to a separate layer from the player. Yes, this is a... We should do this too. So this, by putting this in here, the layers are... Let me show you. So here we set a layer on both the pickupables and the pickupable containers. There's a setting in our project that is going to let us define which layers collide with each other. And you'll see there's going to be a matrix, if I can remember where to find it. Edit, project settings. If we go to the physics 2D here, there's a matrix down here that has all these different layers. Some of these are defined by Unity by default, and some of them we added ourselves. Really, I added player, and that I think was it. And you can see all of these are checked off except for player, and passable is the other one that I made. Player does not collide with passable. That's the rule here. Player can still trigger the... Oh, I'm wrong. We shouldn't do this because we want the player to... We do want the player to collide with this. Okay. But that's how we made the items collide with the platforms, but not with the player. Okay, so collider is triggered equals true. Good. Anything else that I need to do there right now? Not really. This isn't going to move, so this check zone function in the pick upable is what we use to move items from one zone to another when they cross over the border from one zone to the next. So we don't need that for now. Let's, because this isn't going to move, it's always going to be fixed in the same zone. For now, we could add that later if we want. I think this is all that we need for the moment. So we start up, we add this collider, we set it to trigger. Great. Let's go look at the player. Player is, it looks like number 3. Boom. Nope. Looks like number 4. Boom. Looks like number 4. Boom. 0 indexed. Okay. Here we are on the player script. Let me move this over here a little bit just so we can see the left-hand side here. Okay. So we've got this big function right now on trigger stay 2D. This is something that keeps firing as long as we're colliding with a collider that has is trigger set to true. So basically, as long as the player is overlapping with one of these colliders, this is firing over and over again every frame. Right now, there's a lot of stuff here. At some point, we need to break these out into smaller methods because it's just going to get too crowded. But at the moment, let's just append this in here. This kind of code cleanup is good work to do off stream, I reckon. So instead we'll say we need. So the way that we've set this to work generally is previously when we were working on this last stream, I was checking the player inputs in both on trigger stay 2D and in update. I have since changed it so we only check the inputs in update and we set these private variables to tell us if a particular key is pressed down. So we're checking the key. So instead of checking the key over and over, we're checking the key once and keeping that value once per frame. This is useful because this was necessary to help us do things like make it so when you press the pick up button, if there are multiple items that you're touching, you don't pick them all up. Or if you press the drop button, you don't drop every item in your inventory. Was that true for the drop? No, that was just for the pickup. So let's add a new key. Let's say bool. This is going to be an open. So if you are opening an object, we could call this open container. Is going to be input dot get key. So something that we might want to do is try to make these situational, basically. So like instead of having a pickup button, have it be interact. Let's punt on that for now. So for now, we're just going to put in F. This is going to be just another key. These are not going to be our final controls, but we just want to have a new button, which is going to do this open container. It's not going to do anything else. And we need to do is have a new variable here that's going to tell us if that button is pressed down. So we're going to say private bool. We're going to call this open container key down. We're going to say it starts as false. And every frame, it's going to update to be whatever value is here. We do some funky stuff with like picking up. But here we should just be able to say just set that open container variable to, or open container key down variable to whatever we have for open container here. It's a little bit of overkill. We probably could write this in one line, but I'm just trying to keep all of these inputs following the same pattern. So we'll say this dot open container key down, because I don't want to have multiple ways of detecting keys are pressed, equals open container. As an example of somewhere where we do something more complicated, if we look at the pickup item, basically, is this code efficient? We're trying to be efficient. It depends on your definition of efficient. My code tends to be more verbose. I tend to like to trade off verbosity, that is writing more lines of code in exchange for readability. In terms of performance, we are doing things to try to make the code more efficient. The big thing that we're doing is this whole zone logic that I was showing before. So basically, if you look at the scene before we start up the game, you can see there's all this stuff on the screen, right? When we actually play the game, we deactivate or kind of unload all of the stuff that's far away from us. So everything that was over here has been deactivated. And if we go over to the side, if we go over here, all of this stuff will get deactivated. Again, this is just kind of our demo, but we should be able to see. That is the main thing that we're doing for performance right now. A lot of this is we're leaning on Unity to be performant for us. So it checks if the button is pressed every frame. That is correct. And that shouldn't be a big deal. Yeah, I don't think that checking the button is pressed every frame should be a problem. That's not somewhere where we're likely to see a lot of slowdown, or if any. To be honest, these are probably just... I don't think that these are doing any work. I think probably these values are fixed, and we're just basically looking them up. Okay, so... Open container, cool. I don't know that for sure, but I would be very surprised if checking an input was a bottleneck for this code. Say maybe open a container. So if our open container key is pressed down, so here we've checked, so when we're colliding with something, we check if it is a pick-upable, we check if it's a platform. We also want to check if it is a pick-upable container. So we'll say pick-upable container, pick-upable container. We'll call this collided container. This is going to be, we can steal most of this code. Collider.gameObject, here's some more crazy chaining. Collider.gameObject.transform.parent.gameObject.getComponent, but instead of platform, we're going to check for pick-upable container. That was a good question, though, about the efficiency of checking the inputs. I don't really see... What does pressing the down button do? At the moment, nothing. So basically, by checking if this collided container is null, we'll be able to check if the thing that we're hitting is a container. So we'll say and the collided container isn't null. Then we can do some container stuff. What is container stuff, though? Container stuff is going to be activating the image that is attached to this inventory. So we need a method in the... Realistically, we should have a method on the inventory to do that. So let's say public void. We don't need to return anything from this. Activate. So what this is going to do... Let's take a look at our zone code, too. Which also zone dot... No? What did I call it? If I didn't call it zone, it has to be a zone. What are the zones called? A zone! Okay, what's here? Completions are... Dot... Hold up. Something's not right here. If I can open this up, do I get zone.cs? There it is. Cool. So in this zone, you can see we have activate all and deactivate all. I took a few coding tutorials, but I'm not good. But surely a process like that, instead of checking every frame, can only be executed when a button is pressed, right? How would you know when the button is pressed? IDK, I just got here. This code is already too spaghetti. I don't think you're correct. How would you... But let's do it this way. Instead of just saying, I don't think you're correct, how do you know that a button is pressed if you don't check it? Similarly, if there are specific suggestions about how to refactor the code to make it easier to work with, I'm open to those as well. Okay, so we need to, when this is activated, we need to activate both the inventory background and the all of the items in it. Right? Or all of the icons as well. So this and this, everything needs, so this needs to be activated, and then all of the icons need to be activated too. So let's see. Oh, you threw me. I got to be honest. You threw me a little bit, Noodles. But I do disagree with you. But I'm trying to think about what we could do to refactor this code to make it more readable. In Godot, there's a process called if button is pressed or something like that. By a process, do you mean like a method? I understand what you mean. That is not the way that this works here. So that is also something. So yeah, there's two things here. So if button is pressed is something that is so you're basically saying like in the same way that we have this. Let's go back. Sorry, bring this back. I don't think that you're right, but if we go look at the player, let's talk through why. So you're thinking about like this on trigger stay 2D, right? IDK if Unity has it. This is something that is going to be called every time that this button is pressed down. I don't think that we want to do that fire function every time something is called here. Yes, if you execute a line of code specifically if the button is pressed. Right. So part of the problem here is that we have multiple conditions basically, right? So for instance, if I'm picking something up, I want to do something if I'm picking something up and if I'm colliding with the container, right? So this code is called this check current zone. Not this check current zone, sorry. This on trigger stay 2D. I need to know whether that button is pressed down or not. And so if I'm calling two different functions, yeah, that doesn't work. So it is efficient, Noodles. The thing is, under the hood, Godot is going to be basically doing something similar. It may be faster, although this is compiled code. I was going to say it may be faster just because it's built into the engine, but I really don't know about that. I think your heart's in the right place, but I don't think this is going to work. I do think that we want to check our inputs here in update. Okay, so we want to look at pick upable container, which I thought had... Oh, it was the inventory, right, that we want to look at? So when we activate the inventory, the first thing is... The other thing, Noodles, is as the number of buttons increases, we're going to have a huge number of those functions, right? I don't know that that becomes more readable than what we have now, which is collecting all the inputs and then checking them at various places in the code below. Okay, let's deactivate this image. So we'll go 2 processes in 1 button, no other rules. I don't know what you mean by that. Can you expand on that idea? This dot inventory background. Do we need the game object to activate it? Yeah, we do need the game object. Dot game object dot set active to true. True being lowercase in this language. And then for each of the icons in this, we also need to set them to be true. We also need to activate them. So for icon game objects, okay. And it's a list of game objects. That makes it easy. For Go, let's say game object. What do we have to do? For each? Game object Go. What is the syntax here? In this dot icon images, is it icon game objects? Cool. We also need to activate each of those. Is the button for pressing down the same as picking up a container? I don't understand this code. No. I see. You're talking about the fact that the word down is overloaded. Down could be maybe changed to the word pressed, right? I see where your confusion is. Yeah, and we're going to have a down key down eventually. If we wanted, we could change this to pressed. It's not really. Right, so this is not open container key down. This is open container key pressed, would be a way to think of this. I think I see where your confusion is. Okay, so we need to... what do we want to look at? We want to go back to looking at inventory. So go dot set active to true. And in fact, what we should do in both of these probably is write this as a single function to set active. Instead of activate all, deactivate all, let's make both of these similar and have them be set active. Oh, my bad. No. I realize why that's confusing. It just clicked for me why you were asking about the down button. Because right now, following this pattern, we could end up with a is down key down, which is a little bit stuttering. Okay, so let's make this take a set active, and we'll say bool is active. We'll say is active. We could even make this a toggle, but we probably shouldn't. I think that's a good way to get ourselves in trouble. Let's always be explicit about whether we're setting this to be active or deactive. And then also we can combine this, going back to a project after 3 months, not putting down any comments, and now only God can understand what the hell this code means. Yeah, and so commenting is very important, and organizing code correctly is important. But I don't think we're at the point yet. So there, and even during the stream, there are places where I've said, like, I do want to clean up this line, I want to clean up some of this code. In this on trigger stay 2D, I think I do want to break these out to like sub methods for pickupables, platforms, and containers instead of having these. So like this would be in its own method, this would be in its own method, this would be in its own method. But it's not the most interesting work to do on stream, so I'm punting that a little bit for now. But yes, that's a very real risk. And like I said, I tend to favor readability kind of over almost everything else. When I'm writing code, both here and in my job. Okay, cool. So instead of activate all, and we don't need 2 copies of this open, that's just distracting. Let's change this to set active. And we're going to call this is active. And it needs to be a bool. And this will be is active. And same here. Now we don't need the second method, which is just the same thing in reverse. And the last thing is, though, wherever we've called activate all or deactivate all, we need to change that. I think that's only in player. Let's see. Let's say activate. If I search for the word... No? Active. There it is. So all these deactivate all, activate all, these can be changed to just set active. That was deactivate, right? Yeah. Set active. False. We can do that. I wonder if this code can be... Oh, not really. It's left and right. We could probably refactor this to make this a little shorter. True. Also going to be set active. Hey! Will commenting /Mingus on any part of this code break it? No, I don't think so. If we want to drop Mingus in here, let's go Mingus, and we'll draw a little picture of Mingus just to clear our heads a little bit. So let's just do a little... We'll do Llama Mingus. So what'll that be like? Like this... Then you need the little face. I gotta make that a little wider, maybe. Can we make his eyes different? Yeah, I think like that. We'll go like this. Do... Oh, how are we gonna make? I guess we won't make the bottom of his face. We'll just go like 2 bars to be his neck. Oh, it's coming along great actually. This is a way better Mingus than I thought we were gonna get out of this process. And let's put up here like a couple of underscores, and we'll also go. Does a llama have a tail? Surely, some kind of a tail. Let's do it like this to be the tail, and then we need the legs. There's Mingus. Oh, it's Mingus. Look at him. Oh, he looks great, actually. And we can... A reminder of what we're fighting for. Indeed. There's our Mingus. Looks good. Wow. Oh, Noodles, thank you for the light snacks. Okay, so Mercy. So we were doing this to set active. These, yeah, this can be... set active to false, and then to true, but careful there. Okay, so what have we actually done? I lost my train of thought a little bit, but that's okay. I'd rather use this time answering questions and stuff than getting as much done as humanly possible. So we made this container, and I said that it could be activate all the stuff in an inventory, right? So it seems to me that a container, we need to be able to tell if it's open or not. So let's go to our container, which is at pickupable container, a name that I already regret. Let's give it a private field. Nope. Is open. So, oh, we could also put a method on this. Need some pixel assets that are totally not plagiarized. We will. I don't want to ask for assets yet because I want to figure out things like how big they need to be. And that's not really locked in yet. Like, there are pixel assets here, but they're totally placeholders, and things like what size they should be are absolutely subject to change. So that is a different definition for deactivate all. Oh, what else has... Does zone call deactivate all? Oh, it does. On start. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Set active. False. Because if the zone is not the starting zone, we set everything to false. Yeah, I'll... So for today, we're trying to do something that we haven't been doing so far, effectively, which is nail down our mechanics. I guess opening boxes is a mechanic that we're doing right now. That is like the goal for this week. Basically, my thought process is like build a framework during the first week. Build like our basic framework. So build things like our zones and our items and stuff. During the second week, we want to lock in all our mechanics. During our third week, we want to build a layout, which means really in the second week, a ton of stuff. I'm going to have to do a ton this week to get us ready to do that. And then in the last week, polishing it, making it all work. Making all of our ideas actually work is basically my idea for the last week. There's so much to do. Good God. Okay, so we were looking at the container. Mercy. Boom, here it is. Okay. So this needs an open, right? Open container. Let's go like this. It doesn't need anything here. Let's only do this if it's not already open, right? So let's set this to false by default. I don't think there's a use case for this being open from the beginning. If there is, we can serialize that field. It'll say if this isn't already open. Actually, let's do it like this. This tends to be a better coding style. Is instead of saying if this isn't open and then do all the stuff in here, doing a check at the beginning that just says is this open and then returning early. And that way we don't end up with code that's like super nested, 100 of these brackets in. Okay, so now we're here. We assume that it is not open if we are opening it, which is great. We can say this dot container. Nope, this dot inventory dot set active to true. And this dot is open equals true. Right. And then for now, we'll also have a closed container, which we will write. Yeah, we'll write it as a separate method because we might do something. Maybe we'll combine these later. There's a possibility we'll consolidate these because they're going to be very similar methods. Are they so similar that we should write them as one method? Well, we'll do it as two for now. It's a mistake, but if you close the container and it's not open, just don't do anything. Otherwise, activate or deactivate all the items, the inventory, and then set it to closed. Great. So, the last thing that we need is on start, we should deactivate this container, right? This container's inventory. So we'll say this dot inventory dot set active to false. I don't think we need to do something on every frame for this inventory. These are the same method. Look at them. They're the same. They're the same. It's fine. So if we are trying to open the container and the colliding, and we're collided with the container, then we'll say collider container dot open container. Probably we could have just called it open and close, which is why we will call this open and close. Assuming we're doing good naming, we should know that this is a container when we call open on it. Cool. Let's put a container in the world. It's going to take, right now it's going to be a little bit of a manual process, but because we're going to have to attach the inventory to it kind of by hand. But let's just see what that would look like. So I think our sprite here for this container can just be a square. So we're going to look at our square. We're going to drop this bad boy right in here. Boom. This is our container. Let's just make the color something that we will easily recognize, which is yellow. Fine. Drop that on the floor because this isn't going to be subject to gravity, I don't think, and that's okay. We're gonna have these are not going to be physics objects. So this is going to be here, and our container. We need to put a container on it, right? So we'll say add component. We're going to add a sprite, not a sprite, a script. We're going to add pickupable container. It needs an inventory. Can I add... Ooh, this is the problem. Can I add an inventory to this? Let's also put the square in zone 2. That's where it belongs. We'll call this box. This box is going to have... Maybe I could have just called everything boxes instead of containers. That might have been... Just saved me a lot of typing. Can I... Here's what I want to do. I want to be able to put items in here. How am I going to do this? Player counts as an inventory. I'm thinking about it. So basically I want to be able to... So in Unity, does everything have to be checked instead of only running when a certain button is pressed? Or is that some sort of status? So basically in Unity, what we're doing, we're defining these mono behaviors, right? And the mono behavior has a start, which is called the first time that it's loaded up. And it also has an update, which is something that is called every frame in a loop. And so we're writing these loops for all these different objects that are getting called over and over again. I don't believe that there is a way to like call a, do a like call this method when up is pressed. We could check. Let's do it. Checking inputs in Unity. Input. So interfacing the input system uses class to read the axes set up. If you're using an input of any kind of movement, use input.getAxis. iOS and Android. I believe that we're checking these. I mean, that certainly seems to be the pattern here. I think that it just doesn't work that way. Mono behavior means the thing that checks for things that the character is interacting with. Mono behavior is kind of like a base class for all of these scripts that we're writing in Unity. I think that the guarantees with mono behavior is that there's going to be attached to a game object We could look into it. Let's see what mono behavior defines. Let's look at the documentation. I've actually just been kind of taking it for granted that this is just our base class for everything. Mono behavior. Can I go to mono behavior? On a mono behavior. They don't link to it. Mono behavior. Boom. Mono behavior is the base class from which every Unity script derives. Okay, I didn't do so bad on that. When you use C#, you must explicitly derive from mono behavior. So the things that we get are that start, update. What is fixed update and last update? I actually don't know these. Fixed update is frame rate independent fixed update message for physics calculations. We are not going to touch that. We're happy to update once per frame. And a late update is called every frame if the behavior is enabled. Late update is called after all update functions have been called. This is useful to order script execution. For example, a follow camera should always be implemented in late update because it tracks objects that might have moved on its update. Oh, it's kind of similar to Godot's hitbox checking stuff. I don't know Godot, but maybe, yeah. So this is if we have a collider on this game object, then on trigger stay 2D. There's also like an on trigger enter 2D that this does work kind of like what you're talking about with the key presses, where this does get fired when the collision happens. Except you can give those hitboxes their own code instead of one big declaration of independence. I guess. We can give our game objects their own code. That's what we're doing. We're giving different kinds of objects different code. This is really not that, like, it's a long function, but it's not that long a function. If I'm being candid. Okay, so late update we can call if we want something to happen after everything has done update. What recommendation do you have to make this less spaghetti code? So we could break out things like, so this is what I would do. So right now, if we really hate this, so you know, already we call update every time, and we've broken out some stuff. We have move player and check current zone. These things are both being broken out to separate functions. I think the next thing that we would do is handle things like movement in its own function, pick up item in its own function, drop item in its own function, and like open container. So these things would all be separate methods, but they would still all be here, most likely in the same file, just because of the way that we're writing Unity. But all this code would still be here. We would just put these in different methods, and then move player would say, like, get all these inputs, then movement, which would take in, it's a lot of plumbing too. We got to push. I guess we don't have to. I guess we could recheck the inputs if they were relevant to more than one of these, or just check the inputs that we need. I actually kind of like checking all of these in a row because it's telling me right up top all of the keys that I care about in my code. But we could do it, right? You could change this to like handle movement and pass in the up, down, left, right into that function as parameters. Pick up, you could pass in things like pick up. The other alternative is we could set these like, you know, drop key pressed or drop key down for all of these and set those first. So you'd have like a get inputs and then you'd have like move, pick up, drop, open, close would all be separate functions. All be separate methods that we call. It's a way to do it. I don't think, to me, the thing that really makes this spaghetti code right now are like these long lines that are tough to read. Like this new vector -1 times speed force times ground bonus times time delta, time dot delta time. These are the parts that are more difficult to read to me. Anyway. Boy, what were we doing? So we're opening a container. We need a way to... Can I set a default value for this? That might be crazy. New inventory. That won't work, will it? Surely not. So if I go to my box, which is here, none, inventory. No, that doesn't work. I want to be able to get at this inventory, basically. We might need to add another game object here, but it's not really... Yeah, okay, let's do it like this. Let's go, let's add a child object here. So we're going to add a create empty. This is going to have like a box inventory on it. Let's try this. So I want to be able to put items into this inventory from the editor and not have to like try to do this from code. So then the box is inventory. So first of all, let's take this new inventory thing off of here. Code recompiles for a second. And then we're going to say the inventory here is going to be... Oh, this needs to be have an inventory attached to it. So add... Oh. No, we don't need to do it like this. Delete this child. Put the inventory on this box. Does this work? I think that this will work. Inventory. And then inventory items is here. Can I just, like... Then I would put these items maybe as children. So let's go... Let's try to put the yellow juice in the box. That's the whole goal right now. So yellow juice we'll put over the box in the editor. But it's going to go away. This is not going to work. Oh, this isn't going to work. Because... Yeah, how to initialize an inventory with items is something that I'm not quite sure how to do. So the box has an inventory. That'll be its own inventory. Box's inventory. Its capacity of this inventory is what? Let's say 1. So we'll have one thing allowed in here. And inventory items are going to add an item, and that item is going to be the yellow juice. Sweet mercy. What will happen when I press play? Collider container does not exist in the current context. This is in player. Yeah, why do you say that? Collided container, not collider container. A typo. Open is inaccessible to its protection level. You're quite right. So these methods should be public and are not. If we want somebody else to be able to call them. Public must precede the member type. Oh, is it public void? I'm dumb. Okay. This is me just not knowing how to program. Lamau. Okay. Yo, I have a little cousin who thinks he can be a hacker. He probably thinks hacking in the movies when it's more like this. Oh, he probably thinks hacking's like in the movies when it's more like this. Little gremlin can't even do math in his head and has to use fingers. Listen, I don't know any programmers who can do math, so he may be well on his way. Let's see what this does. I think there's going to be a yellow thing floating above this, and it's going to be incorrect. Yeah, this is kind of what I was afraid of. Also, we need an image for this. Wow, how do I do this? Okay, so an inventory is a collection of items. What I need to do is, like, destroy the game object of everything in the inventory at the beginning. Is that crazy? It's a little crazy. Let's do it, though. Clean up. Deactivate. Clean up and hide the items added in editor. So not only are we going to do this.inventory.setActive equals false, we're also going to, what, destroy the game objects of everything in that inventory? I guess because we assume that items in the inventory will have been destroyed. Destroy the child! Yeah, we kind of might destroy some children here, actually. What? For each game object. No. Inventory. What is inventory? Inventory, remind me what you have a list of. Add pop is empty, set active. Not just the men, the women and children too. No. Ugh. Good memes. I gotta watch the prequels again. It's been too long. I've seen Phantom Menace the year it came out. I saw it I think 3 times that summer. Um, and then the other 2 movies I think I've only seen once or twice each. I think I've seen Attack of the Clones twice, and I think I've only seen Revenge of the Sith one time. Gotta go really soak those in. Okay, for each. So, whoa, so this is crazy. So what I'm trying to do is figure out how I'm going to be able to add items to this inventory from the editor. The idea right now is I'll drag them on the screen, and then like the box will basically gobble them up. Will delete all of these objects when it's first initialized, which feels crazy as a way to do it. But maybe that's the way to do it. On inventory has a list of elements that are pick-upables. I think that's the way to do it. It seems wacky. Let's put this on the inventory. Let's say public. Well, when I deactivate everything in the inventory, what does that do? Set active equals false. That just sets the game objects for the icons to be false. But let's also do it like this. If there are game objects for the things in the inventory, which there shouldn't be, but if there are, we should destroy them. And that'll work. Huh. It's got game object. Okay, so we'll also say for each pick-upable in this dot help. What is it called? Inventory items. Good name, PD. Inventory items. So for each pick-upable, we'll call this pick-upable or element. That's pretty lazy. Let's call this item at the least. In inventory items, if item. No, do this on meh. Do this on start, because we only need to do this one time, really. So when an inventory is first started up, if there's anything in it at the beginning, and if those things have game objects, we'll delete all those game objects when it first comes into play. I think that's going to be fine for the moment. Start is not public, but it does return void. Void start for each pickupable item in this dot inventory items if the item dot game object is not null. Then we can do it, right? We'll go item.gameObject. GameObject.destroy, right? GameObject, because this is a static method on GameObject. GameObject.destroy the item dot GameObject. Okay, let's see if this causes the yellow juice to be deleted, but still be present in the inventory of the container. We're also trying to do this in a way where like we'll be able to work within the editor and it won't be a huge amount of labor. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. That was a null pointer reference from when we were running it. That's not a compiler error, but that's worth keeping an eye on. Are we getting a bunch of those? Scripts, inventory, line 83. This dot inventory background dot game object dot set. There is no game object right now. That is correct. That is a null pointer error. There is no inventory background yet. We'll need to add one. But let's for the moment check that our other thing worked. Okay, so the potion, the juice is not here. If I go and look at the box's inventory has a missing pick-upable. Is it the juice? There's something in there. We can't really get it out of there, though, yet. We don't really have the method to do that. Out of interest, when my player picks up something, it is also called missing pick-upable. Okay, well, I guess that's fine. Not great, but okay. So maybe it's in the box. We need to add the ability to look in the box. That is crucial. So player inventory back. Oh, so this box needs its own little inventory background to put things into. So let's copy this. Let's just duplicate this bad boy. And we're going to call this container inventory. We need some music in the background. That's fair. That's not a bad idea. Let's see. Let's go to YouTube. We're going to get royalty-free Sun the Skies music. Okay, I'm up for it. Sun the Skies OST. Let me... Ooh, can I do this where it won't also come through the mic? Yes, I need to put headphones in. Just a sec. That's going to be the easiest way to fix this. I'm just going to pop headphones in. And that way, you won't hear the sound. But it should still come through... It should come through OBS, but not through the headphones. Let's see if that works. Seems like it's not working. Let's bring that up. Can you hear that music okay? It's a little loud, maybe. How's that? Loud and clear? Nice. Okay, that was some... I don't know if you caught that, but that was an extremely janky solution to the problem of we need music. Can I just put that on here? Cool. I'll keep an eye on that. Make sure that doesn't get too loud. It's a little loud. Let's turn it down a teeny bit still. I gotta DJ this at the same time now. That's a good call. Emphasis on loud. Yeah, let's bring that down. Yep, this is the feedback that we need. Okay, it should be a little quiet, hopefully. The problem is the volume in my ears is not the same as the volume in OBS. So I gotta look and visually confirm that the sound looks okay. Is it still too loud compared to my voice? My voice could be... We could bring up the... Let's bring this down even more. There you go. Quiet background music. Sweet mercy. Okay, so... That's running now. Good. We got a no reference error. Yes, that was correct. Container inventory background is what this needs to be called, right? Barely hearable, like an ambiance. Is that where it is now or where you'd like it to be? To fill in the silence. Yeah, agreed. Especially when we're like thinking. How is the volume right now? Yes? Good? Cool. I got my embarrassing carpal tunnel syndrome gloves. Okay. That's a good call out. We'll have music going forward. What's that on your left arm? These are gloves to help me not get carpal tunnel syndrome from typing all day. I wear them when I'm at work and if I'm going to be typing for a long time, which is what we're doing on the stream. They could probably be replaced with like a bar of some kind, but I like the gloves actually. Although they are incredibly dorky, they do work pretty good. I forgot what carpal tunnel felt like. Oh, it's so bad. I had it real bad a few years ago from work, and I got these gloves, and I was like, from now on, anytime I'm doing a bunch of typing, I'm wearing these gloves because it was such a pain. And like, you know, you go into work and you still got to type more. Even if it, you know, I wasn't in a situation where I was like, okay, if I get carpal tunnel really bad, I can just take a break because I needed to do it every day for work. Anyway, container inventory background is a duplicate. Let's move this bad boy up. Bare knuckle punching bag until my knuckles were raw. Oh, that's brutal. That is just an unpleasant way to live. Gotta be honest. Box, let's put the container inventory background. Inventory background is going to be container inventory background. Use wraps. I guess that would do it for your knuckles. So hand won't be fucked. Seems like a good plan. Okay, so the question is, if I go over here and press the letter F, will a little box appear here? Nope. Any errors? No. Just, it's not working. Okay. What can I check? Box collider, are you colliding? Player, are you colliding with stuff in your box collider 2D? Contacts? Ah, we're not hitting this thing for some reason. There's just the one, right? Oh no, I'm wrong. Wall is colliding and wall is colliding. For some reason, twice. No errors? Oh, not working. Yeah, just not functioning at all, it would seem. Oh, and look, this goes to 0 before we hit this. So maybe this needs a rigid body on it. We're going to try that first and see if that fixes the problem. They say the worst errors are the ones that don't appear in the diagnostics. Yeah, when nothing happens. Well, the worst errors, in my experience, are race conditions. So this is when basically two different processes try to modify a piece of information at the same time is usually the most common thing. And they both race to get there first, basically. That's why it's a race condition. That kind of a bug can be really, really hard to track down and really painful. Because a lot of times, like, you'll have something that runs and runs and runs fine, and it might only you might need to be really unlikely for the race condition to actually activate. And it's hard to, like, reproduce. Worst condition when your baby cousin barfs on the keyboard. Okay, that is worse. Okay, yeah, you are right about that. Sweet mercy. So what are we doing? So we're going to go to this container and try putting a pick-upable container is number 2. Cool. Let's try putting a rigid body on this. I don't know if this is right, if I'm totally honest. Well, now hold on. No. Because, like, I'm wrong. Like, if I look at our platform class, this trigger doesn't have anything on it. This is Trader's Wood ambiance now. Oh, in the background? Oh, I can't hear it, actually. This doesn't need anything. Box collider. This duck game object add component box collider 2D. Box collider. A collider dot is trigger is true. Do I need to set the parent? No, that's just a new game object. Why did I do it that way? Oh, okay. I got it. Or maybe the honeycombs. I forget. Ah, a lot of good music in that game. Did you see any of the Mask of the Rose demo? Either by playing it or seeing a stream or anything? That game looks wacky. I haven't. We checked it out on Wednesday. It is a bit of a weird one, but I'm kind of into it. I'm really excited for the full thing to come out. Are the characters gendered? Some of them are not gendered. We did talk to a character who is definitely non-binary. Although it took me a minute to realize it. Let's see. The rat catcher, Ferret, mentioned that they, because we're taking a census, and they asked if there was a question about gender on it. And it says also, I definitely don't know what the gender of the bat officer is. Hard to know. Hard to know with bats. Let me see. Can I spoil? Probably better not to. Gotta be honest. Nobody else is here, right? Sure, go ahead and spoil, that's fine. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's just you and me. At the moment, so I'm gonna say sure. Go ahead and spoil. Let's see. And who's gonna watch this on YouTube? Mercy, what am I doing? I'm trying to figure out why these things aren't colliding. When I go to this box, it does have a box collide on it. It is a trigger. And it has no contacts. Allegedly. Even though we're definitely here contacting it at the moment. Is the layer wrong? Layer is default. Layer looks good. Player looks good. Depending on the choice you make, the Bat Officer will give birth to its own brood. Hopefully, aren't yours. Oh, man. Oh, I could be a Bat Dad. Why this does not work. Player. What is the size of this collider? 1 and 1. That looks good. This all seems fine. Why you don't collide with me? Contacts. None. Out of interest, if I go and look at, like, this candle, which will also have a box collider, do I see the contacts here besides the floor? So the player does not contact with this candle. Oh, it doesn't contact with the candle, but the candle should have a candle pickup trigger, which we should be contacting with. No. Okay, so we don't expect to see, but I can still pick it up. Okay, so we don't expect to see that contact there. But if I'm picking up the candle, does it show up in my player's box collider 2D? Contacts, I'm looking for a candle. Candle something trigger. No. That makes it very tricky to diagnose this problem. Really? Okay, so this is what we got to do. Let's put in something that we know we'll be able to tell when it happens, like logging to the console. I already forgot how to do this. Let's say Unity, log to console. The only thing is the Sunless Skies music is only 40 minutes long. We're going to have to reset it at some point. Oh, it's just debug.log? Great. Okay, so let's just check and make sure... Help. Make sure this is getting called at all. So we'll go, when we do open, let's do debug.log. Hello. But it has to be double quotes because I'm not writing Python today. Set it on loop. Oh, can I do that? That does sound like something that I should be able to do. Settings, playback speed, autoplay, report. No. We might not, I don't know how to do that. Help. Right click on the video. Okay. Ah, nice. Nailed it. Thanks, Noodles. It should be looping now. Good call. Great. Let's see if this ever opens. Because we're not getting a lot of feedback from... The name Trigger Go does not exist in the current context. All of a sudden... Oh, I've effed up something. What did I do? Did I delete some characters here that I didn't mean to? There you go. Keep. Will that fix it? Debug does not contain a definition for log. Does log need to be uppercase? I'm sure it does. Debug.log. Okay, so we should log to console when we try to pick this, or we try to open this container. And hopefully that will just indicate that nothing else is working, but that is maybe kind of working. Nope. Okay. Next thing to check. So open isn't getting called. Let's look for what we're calling open. Collided container does not equal null. So let's do... Oh, what a pain. Transform pick upable container. And this definitely is a pick upable container. Here, our collider.gameObject.transform.parent. Ah, look at it. This is the problem. Because it's not the parent this time. The collider itself is the thing. Game music is find a stream, right? It would be stupid if it wasn't. Find a stream might be a tough word. I think that we can get away with it. Which isn't the nicest way to put it, but Ah, look, that worked. Hello. And there's our little open second inventory. Like, I don't think that they're... I wouldn't expect them to be copyright striking on it. But that is a good point. Okay, so that was just... We were looking at the wrong thing when we were trying to look at the collided container. We open it. That sets this to active. Let's also do this. This container inventory background, let's move that up a little bit. We got to figure out a better way to handle this, but we can do that at a different point. Put this like -200. And why is the icon not added to it? Is it because an icon only gets added when we call add? Almost definitely. Let's look at that inventory. So on... Wow, actually kind of a lot of stuff happening in add. Yes, add is where we add the item. So... Ah, shoot. Okay, so we gotta do... We gotta have a separate field, I think. No, I'm wrong. On start... Noodle says Russia should play some DMCA music while invading so the videos get copyrighted and taken down. Yikes. But also, I guess. Oh, Noodles. I realized because we were talking about having a beer with Donald Trump yesterday, right? And I said a better president to have a beer with would be Calvin Coolidge. And somebody was like, well, Calvin Coolidge famously was a teetotaler. He didn't drink alcohol. I realized Donald Trump also doesn't drink alcohol. I forgot, quite famously. So he actually, just for that reason too, just logistically, it probably wouldn't work out. Too many presidents, teetotalers. Anyway. If game motion is not equal to no, game to destroy, I wonder if that would legitimately be the case. Maybe? I don't know. I bet if you... the YouTube algorithms are aggressive, so maybe on some platforms. Is the DMCA more ruthless than war crimes? I think that it's something where, like, they probably would be automatically flagged if you had music blasting in the background. Mercy. Okay, so here's the deal. We need to break this out here because we need to, like, have an add icon method. So I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do private void add icon, add item icon. So, and we will take a inventory item, right? A pickupable. And all of this code here, we are gonna grab all this and put it in here. And we're gonna say if the inventory background is not equal to null, I'm wrong. Z. We're gonna grab actually all of this and put it in here. And I'm even gonna grab this comment because I want to call add item icon from a different place as well. Primarily. And we can do this. Remember this trick that I said? So look at this now. All of this code is indented. What we're going to do is say if this dot inventory background is null, and we need the parentheses because I don't know how to type, return. And then we can take away this condition and dedent all of this code. But how do I do this easily? Oh boy. One. Heaven help me. How do I do this in Emacs? XRK. Boom! Oh, I did it too much. I overdid it. Okay, let's just... It's not that much. We'll just... Trying to remember the Emacs commands that are less used, like delete all code or delete all text in a rectangle. And so look, now all that code that was indented before now can be de-indented. I noticed this might just be how my family does things, but I never understood why Americans are so cautious on politics. Why are Americans so cautious on politics? I am cautious on talking about politics on Twitch because I don't think that it makes great content if politics is not the focus of the channel. And so you will notice, sometimes I feel a little bad about it, to be honest, but you will notice that when people in chat try to pivot the conversation that way, I do tend to try to pivot it back away again. I don't think that means that we should never discuss anything political. I just think that it means that I'm not a super informed person, and giving political takes on the spot is not really a skill that I have. So I tend to shy away from it for that reason. Clean up this line. Yeah, clean up this line. Jeez, that's the right to do. Okay, so why did we do that? So we did add item icon, and the reason is for all of these pickupables, we also want to do so let's say if there's a game object in the world, we're also going to add the item icon. We'll say this dot add item icon. This needs to be called pickupable elt. We called this. We'll change that later. All these elts need to be changed to a different word. I mean, just to say opinions and stuff. Oh, even so. Even so, I'd say that my same thing applies. I think you might be surprised. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't really know what things are like where you are. So maybe people are, maybe Americans are more cautious by comparison. Is there a political hunter in the Americas? Oh, you mean somebody who's hunting people for their political opinions? So the reason you won't see it on like Twitch, really, I don't care as much about this. Like genuinely, that's not a pretextual reason. Like genuinely, it's something that I don't feel like I can speak very eloquently or even coherently about off the cuff. But I think for a lot of like content creators and stuff, which I wouldn't really consider myself one of, I think it's about keeping a broad audience, right? This should be destroy. Is you want your content to have as broad appeal as possible. Unless you are going like specifically, okay, this is, you know, my Twitch channel is a political talk show or whatever. The theme of the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun. Wait, let me listen. I gotta get some of this too. That's nice. It's chilled out. Nice. Let me just listen. Let me just make a judgment on this song by listening to 1 second of it. It's chilled out. Piotr's take. Okay, so we'll add an item icon for this item. I mean, item's not that much of a better word, but everywhere that we did elt for element, let's change this to item. Yes there, yes there, yes there, yes there, yes, yes. Oh, nope, that's size delta. I did one that was wrong. This, F me. I can fix this. How do I fix this? Eval, fill, out. What do we call it? Navigation? Navigation, fill out windows. Boom. Ah, got that. Those custom Emacs commands. This can be the console, and we'll put back here the one we were working on, which is the pickupable. And also this one, which was pickupable container. Boom. Cool. This plays when you're near the artificial judgment / sun. Ah. Okay, sweet mercy. What were we doing? Alright, so I'm able to get this. Oh, this delta, right? Somewhere I changed the word delta to be... Oh, I need to change go to inventory, right? The word delta got changed when I did my big find replace, which is a little bit funny. Judgments are just another term for sons. Okay, in that setting. Got it. All right, let's see. So check it out. We're going to go over here. We're going to press the F key, and hopefully that was so close to working. I can't even believe it. That's not quite what I expected to happen. Oh, because I said the container only has a... Let's give the container... so I can make this get closer to working just by setting the capacity of this container to be 3. Container inventory, background. No, I want to set the box has a container, has an inventory with capacity of 3, and that will put the item in the right place. But the problem remains: why was its sprite wrong? And I think it's probably because of the order that we did this in. So I think when we go to here, add item.object. Did I also, when I did this refactor, did I also break the picking up stuff? Let's look at that. That I think will be consequential. Yes. Okay. That actually tells us something. Nyx is out of range. Uh-oh. We've broken something. This is why we would have unit tests. Light reigned once, light hated. No mercy, no bargains. Only judged what is. Now light was. Lights can fail. Basically, suns are kind of assholes to lower life forms. Good to know. Return. Why have I broken this? Because I forgot to put in the line that actually calls this. This dot add item icon item. Yep. So that should fix that, hopefully. So they're referred to as judgments. I get it, because the light is so judgmental. Just balls of criticism. You hate to see it. When I was in taking... So, huge citation needed, because my Chinese is very poor. But in college, I took Mandarin classes. And one thing that we had to do one time, we had an assignment where we had to explain an English idiom in Chinese, basically. It was like the little thing that we had to do. And so I explained the term a third wheel, because I thought that was like a funny idiom. You know, I knew how to say all of these words in Chinese. And the teacher told me that in Chinese, that same concept of a third wheel is somebody's called a light bulb, because they're illuminating people who want to be left in the dark together, which I thought was funny. That was pretty good. Makes sense. Anyway. Okay, so we fixed that, but this is still broken. And the thing that's so broken about it is this isn't all working. Okay, this dot item transform parent game object. Why is the icon wrong? New game object. Why is the sprite wrong in particular? Seems to be the problem. Item.sprite. Key. And when I go to... Oh boy. When I go to pick upables, it's because I shouldn't do a destroy. I should do item dot... I should call remove from screen, because we've built all this other extra stuff when we remove an item that needs to be done. And I shouldn't call destroy directly anymore. I should call this new method, which will destroy it as the last thing. Okay, let's see. Let's see if this will cause that little menu to show the potion. Except there are some chill sons who are just generous and not murderous at best. I guess that's good. Or maybe indifferent, really. If the alternative is super judgmental, I guess that's fine. Nope, that didn't work either. Okay, so let's take a look at... What is this? Ah, that's awfully suspicious. Where is this coming from? You're new. If I go to my player inventory, this has an inventory background. The box. Do the items collide with each other? Yes, the items collide with each other, but not with the player. I'll show that, because that'll still work right now. This is Eleutheria ambiance now. So you can see they do collide with each other. And they can even, like, bump each other if you do it right. Let's try to nudge an object with another one. Stack 'em! Oh yeah! They used to collide with the player too, but I decided to take that out. I don't want platforming on stacks of items to be a mechanic for this game. It was just a little too jank and a little too rink-a-dink. There you go. And the yellow juice is in here, so we can't get to it. Okay, let's actually look at this. So... oh, green juice. Ah, this is the item. This is the item which is added to it. Got it. We're doing things in the wrong order. Check it out. So this remove from screen needs to happen before add item icon. And then everything I promise will work, and there definitely won't be more problems. Let's see. More problems. Cut to more problems. That's what those things are on the canvas there. So this kind of framework is going to need more adjusting, but let's just see. So I go and look at this box. Sweet mercy. There's the yellow potion, the yellow juice, finally. Oh, I could weep. Good to see you, yellow juice. The problem is that can never be closed. It's a small thing. So what we need to do... what if we made it so that just appears when... no. What if we made it so that just appears when we're touching the box automatically? So you don't press down a button to open it. Just if you're overlapping with that box, that pops up. We could do that, I think, quite easily. And especially because open returns early if the object is already open. Mom found the yellow juice. Oh, Mom found the yellow juice. No, no. Mom, I was saving it. No, I can't tell you what for. No. Let's go to the player real quick. So here's my idea. What if, instead... hey, it's Mingus! Oh, I'm glad we put Mingus in there. That was a really good idea. Let's have no open container button. Check this out. And... we're gonna do just... if there's an open container... if we're colliding with a container, open it. Ooh... we need... the method that gets called. Won't that be a hassle if the chest opened every time you passed it by? Yeah, maybe. Well, what I mostly want to do is make the chest close again. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. So we can do both. We can have it both ways. Let's have a button to open it. Okay, I'm convinced. Because you're right, that would be a hassle. And if you walk away from the container, that's how you close it, right? And maybe we can have it so you can... we should just call this toggle open. I didn't want to do it. No, that's a huge mistake. No. Why is that a huge mistake? Because that will cause, right now, as the code is written, that will cause it to flash open and close super fast as long as you hold the button. So we need to know, besides on trigger stay 2D, we need to know what is it on trigger exit? Coding genius! Huh! On trigger, let's get on trigger exit. This is the one that we want. Great. So I should just be able to write this, right? Can I... and we'll leave this note for myself. Probably that comment is redundant to somebody who knows Unity, but I don't. On trigger exit 2D, called when this stops colliding. Stops colliding with another box collider. 2D with is trigger equals true. Yes, that is all correct. Great. Oh yeah! Oh, thanks for the light snacks, Noodles. I needed those. Very refreshing. Let's say, check if this is a container. We do have to break out this code. This will be a good way. There's some stuff we can do to make this cleaner. This goes to my homies who have a below 5,000 IQ. Oh, don't we all? Don't we all? We do. That is literally true. Okay, so let's do... So if there's a container and we're exiting collision with it, then collided container dot close. And we know, even if the container wasn't open, it's safe to try to close it. Calling close on a closed container just returns early, doesn't do anything. Trump doesn't drink alcohol? Apparently not. Does Trump drink alcohol? How often does Trump drink alcohol? Trump says he doesn't drink. Oh, well, this is a good Quora. This is a bit opinionated. He says he doesn't drink. He also says a lot of other things that no one should really believe. Well, he said his brother was an alcoholic, I believe, but here he is holding drinks. Did he drink? The internet is full of photographs of Trump drinking what appears to be alcoholic drinks. Maybe because he is old. Well, I think the deal was his brother was an alcoholic, and he decided to not drink. Here's Obama drinking. Here's the person who answered the Quora question drinking. Hey, I like this lobster stuffed animal. Do you think this person's from, like, the East Coast of the United States? Sometimes people from the East Coast of the United States love lobsters. This is just a thing. Let's write it this differently. Why doesn't Trump drink? Trump and Biden do agree on one thing. Sobriety. Oh yeah, Joe Biden doesn't drink either. He eats ice cream instead. Man. For the first time in modern history, both major party candidates... Please. Both major party candidates for the White House are teetotalers. President Donald Trump and his Democratic opponent Joe Biden have not had an alcoholic drink over the course of their lives by their own accounts. So there you go. Allegedly, neither of them do. Getting drunk on ice cream is a more terrifying feat. I don't know. I don't know if he likes ice cream instead of alcohol, really. Lying politicians. I mean, yeah, there's also a possibility. Also a real possibility that they could be fibbing. Should we see if the container closes when we walk away from it? So the real thing is going to be on trigger stay 2D. Yeah, this needs to be on trigger exit 2D. This is my bad. I forgot to do this. Dude, they said they've never had alcohol. I know, that is a little... It does strain belief a little bit. Game actions that contain a definition of object. Whoops. 153 and 159? Where did I F this up? Please. Oh, I've done this again. Okay. Ugh. Big mistake. Okay, let's bring up player. Did I write game object dot object? Yeah, that shouldn't be there. Game object dot... Oh, I think maybe when I was undoing stuff, I undid one thing too many. Will that fix it? They're eating newborns in the elite ring society meetings instead of alcohol. Also, that's a weird conspiracy. Agreed! Collide container does not exist in the current context. Why would you say that? Because it is collided container dot close. Mercy. Yeah, the idea that the elite are like eating babies and stuff, bit of a weird one. Bit of a weird one. And has had some real consequences. Well, not the eating babies, but that they like, you know, have weird secret cabals has led to, hey, look at it! It worked! Now let's make it so you can dismiss it too. Babies don't even taste that good! Keyword being that good. Yeah. Well, if the inventory is just like a little bar like this, but I don't know that it will be. Let's leave it at that for now. What we need now is to be able to take items from here and put them into our inventory. How is that going to work? If a private friend group has collusion, it's that they're eating babies. If it has a private friend group, oh, I got you. If they have a private friend group, conclusion is they're eating babies. I mean, I know that's what I do in my private friend group, so that does check out. Okay, so what is the mechanism for moving items from here into our inventory? Are we finally at the point of needing to click on items in the UI? Because I don't know if I'm ready for that. But it might be time for clicking on items in the UI. This is going to be a bit of a learning experience, so it's going to be a moment before we can actually do anything with this. Unity! Click on UI. Oh, but you know what? Well, we kind of did. How to detect click touch events. Update. If input. So even look. So even they're not even calling like an on-click method. They're doing like the same thing we did for the same way we detected clicks. Is the same. Is like in a similar pattern to how we checked for key presses. You don't have to use the input API for the new UI. You subscribe to UI events or implement interface depending on the event. There are proper ways to detect events on the new UI components. Image, raw image, text. Oh, Orm's World. Oh, is that the music playing now? Void on, drag on, It's a click detector. Implement the needed interface and override its function. Okay, I can do that. Wow. Okay, is a mono behavior and... Can I just make it draggable? That seems crazy to me. On begin drag, pointer event data. Interface and override its functions. The below... So we're going to have to look at pointer exit. Pointer click handler. I think that's what I want, right? Pointer click handler and maybe pointer up handler. Let's do it. I pointer. I mean London. Oh. I pointer plus. I need the interface that I'm going to add. No? I pointer. Will it be here? I pointer. No, I want the interface. Interfaces. Oh, I pointer capture event? Interface for pointer capture events. Yeah. But how do I get those? Classes. Well, no, it's going to be an interface, right? It's not going to be... Let's see. But I don't think this is right. You're saying I put this... iPointer click handler. Let's see if we can find some documentation on iPointer click handler. Scripting iPointer click handler. There it is, you big liars. Where was this, out of interest? Unity engine.event systems. Okay, whatever. So, interface to implement if you wish to receive on pointer click callbacks using the iPointer click handler interface to handle click input using a blah 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 blah. So this is when somebody clicks on the thing. We should be able to put this on those little icons. Wow, okay. Is there any other way to do this? Just out of interest. Not super a lot. Okay, let's just feel this out a little bit. So did they make this an image too? Implement the interface provides functions. So we might need a new class here, a new script. We don't have a script for these icons right now, do we? So let's add one. Really? Okay, let's add one. Is this how we want to do it? Is this how I'm going to play the game? I'm going to have my fingers on WASD and my hand on the mouse? I guess that's fine. That probably makes sense to do. Let's do that now. So, new script. We're going to call this inventory icon. And it's going to be attached to these images. Woof. Okay, let's open it up here. And let's also go to our inventory while we're doing this. What time is it? Okay, cool. We got tons of time. Awesome. I need some water, though. Before we press ahead. Mercy. Okay. It's a mono behavior, but it's also an I press, blah, 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 whatever. How did they do it? What is the syntax in C# to have multiple, just a comma, perfect. And the thing is called an I pointer click handler. I pointer click handler? I hardly even know her. Okay, so iPointer click handler now lets us implement this method on pointer click. And let's just grab this bad boy like this. My guess is this is going to be a click and not a release, which is, we're probably going to need both. Let's get rid of start and update for now. Peter, I barely know her. God, what was the best one when I was in school? I had a group of friends. We used to always do these in college. What was the one we really liked? Master and Commander. I hardly even know her. That was the best one we came up with. Anyway, that was when Master and Commander was a more relevant cultural touchstone. So, iPointer click handler, and let's just do that. Let's just put a debug.log here. Debug.log. I've been clicked. Lamau. Cool. And then when we add this item icon, this method's getting a little crazy too, isn't it? Assume the inventory has an odd number of slots. Yeah, there's a lot of assumes, and to-dos in here. What can be done? Let's also go this. We can also just go item icon go. So the game object for this item icon, let's see this. Hey, Peter. Nice. A little bit of the Matrix plus Family Guy. Dot add component, and we will add a nice inventory icon to this. These names are getting a little overloaded, but we'll do it. Oh my god, you don't get that reference. Oh, it's not the Matrix. It's I do know it. I'm sorry. It's Mr. Armsboy from the Spider-Man. I'm wearing my Spider-Man shirt today. It's my El Asombroso Hombre Araña shirt. Hello, Peter. That's the one, right? I got it. I did get it wrong at first, though. That's Dr. Armsboy. Excuse me. You're very right. In my mistake. What did I just do? I put an inventory icon on this. So in theory, if, God willing, when we click on the little icons on our inventory, they'll say, I've been clicked, Lamau. Let's see. Nope. The type or namespace, iPoint click handler could not be found, probably because I need to import the UI, right? Import UnityEngine.event systems, or using even. If I worked for 10 years for a title, the least people can do is refer to it. That is fair. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I just want a title too. I just want, I do things for 10 years. When I'm on Twitch for 10 years, they should give me a title. You can start calling me, after 10 years, everybody can start calling me Affiliate Piotr. But that's how long it takes. Just get a PhD. Just get a PhD, forehead. Come on. How hard could it be? I actually know somebody who got a PhD, and they had a pretty miserable time. And I think by the end, they were really ready to not be getting a PhD anymore. Okay, ready? Here's the proofs in the pudding. I've been clicked, Lamau. Okay, the click handler works. Nice. And I should be able to pick something else up and click on it too if we want. We'll just watch this number down here. We'll increment. And indeed it does. That is hilarious. Okay, so that just works, actually. The question is, how do I drag something? Is there an iDrag handler? And does it work? There's no way it's as easy as I'm thinking. iDrag handler, it's right here. If you wish to receive on-drag callbacks. No, we'll have to do a little bit more work, which is fine and totally makes sense. But so what we want to do here is, let's just make it so when we click these things, click something, if it's not in our inventory, it goes into our inventory. And if there's a box open, it goes into the box. The most they can do is refer to me The most they can do is refer to me as Dr. PhD Microbiology Noodles Donosama di Luffy. Very impressed. That's a impressive credentials you have there. Do I have any titles? Do I have anything at all? I barely even have a middle name. I went to the DMV yesterday to transfer my driver's license because I had a driver's license from the wrong state I just never did it. You're supposed to switch it when you move to a new state, and I just never did it. But I finally did it. I do not have a PhD. Oh, okay. And I was filling out the forms, and I had to put my middle name down, and I couldn't quite... I knew how to spell it, but I was like, I need to double check how to spell my middle name. So, I did. It's just, when you're there in the moment filling out little boxes on a government form, you just want to be extra sure. God, what was the other funny thing from the DMV? So in America, they're introducing this new idea of I was spelling my middle name wrong for a long time. Yeah, it's just one of those things, you don't use it very much, you know? And it's an easy thing to get out of the habit of writing. So in America, you used to be able to use, or I think you still can. It has one of those fancy enyes. Ooh, very nice. Not unlike the word aranya. There you go. I'm familiar. Okay, so the idea is when I click on this, if it's, wow, this is going to be crazy. How am I going to do this? So the problem is, from this inventory icon, we can get the inventory that it's in, but we kind of have to get the player inventory too. And I don't know if there's an easy way to do that. We could assume that our scene has something called a player in it, maybe, and get it by the name. Am I too proud to do that? Let's do Noodles Aranya Inganamorte. Yeah, I did okay. Very nice. The spider. Let's do Unity get, please not all caps, game object by name. This is probably doesn't work because you can probably have multiple. Okay, there's a game object.find. But I can have multiple, surely. It finds game object by name and returns it. This function only returns active game objects. Wow. Does that work? If you wish to find a child game object, it is often easier to use transform.find. I wish my last name was cooler, though. Oh, it's okay. It's fine. What's in a name? A rose? A flower? A flower by any other name? A flower by any other name would still smell as sweet. A rose. It is a rose. I was wrong. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. It's like the name equivalent of Feikle. I'm never getting laid. No, Feikle. No. A rose. It is a rose. Everybody says flower. People, including me, don't know this line. It's apparently also in the importance of being earnest. Help me. What am I doing? Nice. Noodles. Good for you. Let's do... What am I looking for? I am looking for... Yeah, we're going to find the thing called... We're going to look for the thing called player in the scene. Until that becomes a problem, we're going to use GameObject.find. This returns the game object named hand, because there's only going to be one named player, right? So we'll say GameObject. I think this is going to be easier. The longer the last name, the more Spanish you are. So I have heard that people of, Hispanic or Mexican descent tend to have a lot of names. I think that is a thing. My friend Jose in high school had like a ton of names, which I think is pretty cool. Honestly, the more names you can have, the better. If you're Hispanic and don't have a ton of names, obviously that's fine too. But that's just my impression. Game object. We're gonna call this player go. Good. I think I covered my bases perfectly there. My grandmother had 7 names. I only remember about 4. It's pretty dope. GameObject.find. That is a good number of names to have. GameObject.find. And we're just going to look for a player, right? And we can do that because there's only going to be one thing called player, and it's going to be right at the top of the tree. So whether we search breadth first or depth first, we should find it very quickly. Well, maybe not if we search depth first. It's proper bitch, right? So she just went with her first one? Honestly, fair. That's the other cool thing. Okay, here's my list of cool things. Having a ton of names is number one. Number two is being mononymous. That is having, you know, if you only have one name, like Cher, or Seal, or, I don't know, somebody else. And then after that, it's like having like 2 to 3 names is the worst. That's my official ranking. S tier is a lot of names. A tier is mononymous. F tier is regular amount of names. Okay, player go. Game budget to find player. Not to be regular amount of names normative or anything. 2 or 3 names normative, I guess would be the phrase. Okay, so is the player, and also now we can get the player inventory, right? So, how do we know if this is in the player's inventory or somebody else's inventory? Do we have to put this... Do we need to make... Is the player inventory... Does it need to be a special case of an inventory? So you're not named like Bob, Michael, John? Oh, if it's 2 to 3 names, it better not be American. So you're not like named like Bob, Michael, John. Oh yeah, people with... Well, actually, I think having, you know... I think if you've got like a first name and a middle name and you go by both, that feels like very Midwestern American. Although maybe I just think that from watching No Country for Old Men, which is not really, you know, I don't know if it's the Midwest really. Maybe it's just like rural American. If you're like Robert John or like Bob Michael and people call you Bob Michael, that's that feels very, very countryside. Okay. There we go. Game object, find player. Okay, so I've got the player. That's good. Can we... So here's the deal. Is Robert Bob? Robert Bobbert Bob. It's a good name. That's a good, strong American name. Robert Bobbert Bob. Sounds like a real patriot. So we've got the player. What are we going to do with this player now? So I want to write... So my... At least you're not that Californian man who legally changed his name to Fire Penguin Disco Panda. That's pretty dope, though. That's a pretty good... That's a good name. It's a good name. You just go by Fire Penguin. FP for short. Fire Penguin Disco Panda. That's quite a lot. I did know a guy in high school who genuinely, when he turned 18, legally changed his middle name to Danger, which was pretty dumb. But you could do it if you know, you could do it. It just goes to show that if you want to change your middle name to Danger, it is technically legal. You are allowed to do it. Okay, game object, find player. So here's what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want there to be different icons for the player inventory and inventories that we open. I don't want these to be different classes. My fear is that that's not going to be avoidable. I want the player inventory and icon inventory or container inventories to be a lot the same. So what if we do it like this? What if we say... Oh, let's see this man. I'll look. Let me move this to the other side. I should be more careful. He does look very happy about it, to be fair. That's better than any ID photo I've ever had. Good lord. I can only wish I had a fraction of that radiant happiness. Same, TBH. Okay, so player... So let me think about this. I need to think this one through a little bit. So we've got our item. We've got our inventory icon, which is attached to an inventory, which is attached to a container. I don't really care that much that it's attached to a container. what I want is when I click it, what am I trying to do here? I guess I'm trying to make it so you can click to pick up an item from an inventory. And it should go into my inventory. Likewise, I should be able to click on an item in my inventory and it goes into the container, right? So control is I click on the thing and it goes back and forth. Can I do that without making the player inventory like some kind of a special case? I think is going to be tricky to do, but maybe I can do it if we have... Yeah, we can do it. It's a little nuts, but we can do it. Does this... Okay, so this will have to assume that we can only have one inventory, one container open at a time. That's something we can soft enforce by just not having containers close to each other, but we should also have a check-in code to make sure that we don't do that. But for the moment, let's just say, on pointer click, if... So do we need to know that there's a container open? I think the answer is yes. How do we know when a container is open at all? The things we need to know is there a container open, and are we clicking on an item in the container, or are we clicking on an item in the player inventory? Lastly, we need to know which container is open. Oh, sweet mercy. What if, okay, follow me on this. What if you can only take an item out of a box at first? Let's start with that. So if you click something in a container, if it's not in the player's inventory, it goes into the player's inventory if there's space. That I can write. That I know how to write. That'll get us started. So let's actually get back that find that we had. So we've got the player. And we'll say player inventory. That seems crazy to check if this is in the player's inventory. Alchemy? Maybe there can be patches of natural resources which you can craft stuff with, like potions and stuff. I think that's what I think that's where I want to try to head. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to do like all this inventory management stuff. So let's say this is going to be an inventory, and in turn also craft with your crafts. Ooh, yes. We'll have to figure out things. Yeah, that's where I want to go with it. Game object. No. Player inventory is going to be player go. To make 3 tiers of craft. I love crafting. I am very tempted to do it. To have that be a key element. So we've got our inventory. What I want to do is... How can I tell? So there's dumb ways I could tell too. By like... looking where this is on the screen. That's not how we should do this. Now make it 3D and out of blocks. Oh my god. Oh my god, we'll sell 1 million copies. Add a dragon in a different dimension. I like where your head's at. Okay, so we've got our inventory. Why is that good? Because I want to know if this is in the player inventory. Can I check a game object's name? That's what I really want to do. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, let's break this down in comments. Check if this object is in the player's inventory. If not, and if there is room, add it. Call it Makecraft. I like it. I'm on board. Okay, so the first thing we do is check if it's in the inventory. The way that I'm going to do that is to try to get the... Where does the item icon live? I think it actually lives here in the canvas. They're saying a semicolon is expected. That is... Where? Where is there a semicolon missing? Get sued and die in poverty. I love the idea. Now you're speaking my language. They're saying in line 12. But, I don't know. That looks pretty good. Are these still... 12, 22. Wow. Where am I forgetting something? This looks fine. Why guys yelling at me? Why is the compiler yelling at me? 12 and 13 are both missing semicolons? Well, that's just not true. There they are. Ah, I'm so dumb. Literally, we need an equal sign. Oh boy, maybe I'm getting a little fatigued here. Maybe we should wind down and stop this early, because I'm making some little simple mistakes here. Okay, so it compiles. That's great. Good for me. So the trouble is, the inventory icon doesn't have like a good pointer back to the item, back to the inventory that it's in. I don't think. Let's see. Let's see real quick. So that's what we need. So this inventory icon needs some kind. This is the piece that I think is missing. So right now, when I look at this, here's my little icon, my yellow juice. It's here, but it's a child of this canvas. And so it's hard for me to know what like inventory this is in right now, because it's just like a UI element. It's part of our UI canvas. So what we need is on this inventory icon class, we need a pointer back to the object that, back to the item it was created for, or back to the inventory it was created for. Right, so we'll go, let's put we can probably make this private, and we'll put this on an inventory. This, I think, will solve, we'll call this inventory parent inventory. We'll call this parent inventory maybe. And we'll put a little, name this better. But it's basically the inventory that this item belongs to. So this will make this, I hope, much easier. We could also do, no. Don't do this. How big are the items? In terms of pixels? So right now, they're big. I drew them as, I think, like 16 by 16s, but we blew them way up because they look fuzzy otherwise. So they're 128 by 128, but they're 16 by 16 made bigger. I don't know if that's, I'm not committed to that being their size for the actual game though. Those really are just placeholders. Okay, so check its objects in the player's inventory. So when we add an inventory icon, sorry, let's do this from inventory first. I can put an inventory icon. So we'll go inventory icon. Icon equals. Oh my gosh, there's an icon. Go. There's an icon. We need to clean up these names at some point. But let's leave this as it is for the moment. And we'll say icon dot parent inventory equals this. Cool. So we'll say add the items icon to the UI. Assumes the inventory has an odd number of slots. We can fix that later. Here is our parent inventory. Great. So we'll say if stop parent inventory dot game object. Oh my gosh. Ready? Check it out. Dot get component player is null. That means that echlis. I don't know what this is. So if it's a player, sorry, if it's the player, then we can return, because we're not gonna click stuff in the player's inventory right now. We may change this, but for the moment, we're just gonna return early if that's the case. If not, if there's room, add it. So we'll say the player is GameObject.findPlayer. Perfect. That's the player's inventory. Cool. When I am adding something to my inventory, like because I'm picking it up as a player, okay, we get a bool back that says if we added it successfully. Cool. But we don't even need that. We can say bool. Yeah, I do need this. Added equals this. Oh my word. Dot. Do we need a parent item, maybe? Not a parent inventory? Wow. Okay, this actually is getting tricky to keep track of just like what objects have pointers to which. I have a project due tomorrow. I'm doing the meme of due tomorrow. I'm doing the meme of due tomorrow. You have a project due tomorrow? Isn't tomorrow Sunday? Do you have to go to school on Sunday? Or turn things in? That sounds horrible. Yeah, I actually need the item here. So let's go to my inventory again. It doesn't need a parent inventory. It needs the parent item. Is that right? Yes. Parent pickupable. So this shouldn't be an inventory. This should be a... I think we might actually need both. Let's get both. For the moment. I'm in day advanced. Ah, from the future, so to say. I see. Okay, so you do have a project due tomorrow. That makes sense. That does make sense. Icon.parent. Pickupable. I gotta say, I'm glad to be... I've said it before on stream, I know, but I am just very glad to be out of school. Item. Great. So we've got the inventory that it's in. We've got the item. Also... If the inventory belongs to the player, return early. Otherwise, added equals this dot. Nope, equals player inventory. Oh my gosh, it's gonna work. Let's go to the player again real quick. Where's player? 2. Add, and I can just put the thing right in there. I can go this dot parent pick upable. This is not gonna. Oh, this is gonna be. I chose the wrong thing to work on stream, I think. Maybe we should have focused our attention somewhere else. Because it's just very nitty gritty. So we try to add it to the player's inventory. If it works the first time, it will break later. True. We would hardly want it to work the first time in that case. I'd rather it break now while we're thinking about it. So the player inventory.add this dot parent pickupable. Okay, so we've tried to add it to the player inventory. The problem is it's still in the old inventory. So we need to go. We need a method to remove a specific item from the inventory. Random aside, I learned the term nitty gritty is not so pleasant. Oh. Should I... Is it one that I should avoid, Zephyr? You don't need to go into detail. I'll take your word for it. If it's one to prefer to avoid. Yes, probably. You can look it up later. Okay, so let's say this is more... We're in the weeds a bit. And it's a lot of... Actually way more abstract than I thought. What the hell does shiver me timbers mean? I assume your timbers are like your legs? Alright, let's see. Shiver me timbers. Meaning. Origin. My timbers be shiver. Define shiver me timbers as a mock oath attributed in comic fiction to sailors. A comic oath. So maybe it's a fake thing? Oh my, like my legs are shaking. Okay, by this thinking, timbers is either a slang word for legs or a little reference to wooden legs. Okay, so yes, your timbers are your legs. Checks out. Yar, my legs be like trees that we cut down. Cool. So, sweet mercy. I am just fatigued. We'll stop in like 10 minutes or so, because I'm not. We're getting diminishing returns on the time spent here. I've had kind of an exhausting week, if I'm totally honest. So we might take a break from this early tonight. We'll add it. Okay, player inventory.add. This is not parent pickupable. So we also need. So this is the thing that we've been putting off for a long time, which is removing a particular item from a inventory. I'm actually not going to do that right now. We're just going to assume that there's only one item in this inventory, and we're gonna stub this out for now. So we're just gonna say to do handle multiple items, just so we can draw this to a close for today, and then we'll call it. Okay, so to do handle multiple items in a container, but we're just gonna assume that there's one. So we're going to say this dot parent inventory dot pop. If added, sorry, so only if we added successfully, then we can pop this out of the parent inventory. Pop last, we called it. Even though pop is kind of a bad name, pop to me implies pop last. We probably should have called this like remove. Okay. Right, so check if the object is in the player's inventory. If it's not, and if there's room in the inventory, add it. If there's not, let's just call it try to add it, because if there's room is built into add. If not, try to add it. And it'll say, then, if added, remove from container. Will it work? Doubtful. Let's see. Let's see what part of this breaks. The first thing is, parent inventory is inaccessible to its protection level. You're quite right. You're quite right, which is why we're going to make these public. Really, we should have setters and getters for these. But today they're public. Okay. Game object is not contained a definition for get component. Okay, that is because get component is spelled incredibly incorrectly. Get component. Great. Anything else? Cool. Check it out. So if everything works perfectly, we'll go up to the container, we'll press F, a little thing will pop up, we'll click the thing, and it will go into our inventory, and then I will throw the yellow juice, and that will be the end of the demo. There's the yellow juice. I click it, it goes into my inventory, and I throw it. We went a long way for that one. Neil says no one really knows the origin of nitty gritty. That was a long way to go for for that demo, for not very many lines of code. But it's used to refer to debris at the bottom of the ship floor. Ah, I see. I can imagine then. Yes. Got it. So, hey, so that kind of works. We have this whole handle multiple items in a container. That's not very right. But it kind of works. Good heavens. But it does kind of work. Let's put another container on to prove that this is a real thing and not just a fluke. And really to prove that we can have multiple containers that are tied to the same, UI thing. Because what I don't want is a container inventory background for every single container. That seems crazy. And you know what? I'm going to change it back so there's not a... Let's go to the player again real quick, too. It's always on 2. I changed my mind. I don't want open container key down. I do want it to be just when you are over it, that little thing will pop up. But then we should just do it on collide. So then we should put this on... This should be... Oh no, the scope. She is increasing. It's going to be almost the same as this. So when you collide with something, because we don't need to be checking this all the time, if there's no button for it, we can just check if an inventory should be open when we first collide, and then we can close it when we stop colliding. So open container key down, I'm taking out. Open container, I'm taking out. I'm getting rid of all of this. I don't think it'll be too annoying. With the right to totally walk that back later. On trigger, enter 2D. We'll see if there's a container. If it's not null, we'll try to open it. Excuse me. So you collide with the container, you open it, you walk away from it, it closes. We assume for the moment that we're always going to put these containers so that they're far apart. That's not a good fix, but if we do that, we don't have to be as careful in the code. We'll leave it at that for now. Okay, so watch. So I connect with it. This pops up. I can grab that potion. I can toss it out. We should probably have... Oh, do we want to try to go the other way? Should we put things in the box? We can put things in the box. We can do it. How hard could it be? No, Petey, don't do it. I'm going to make myself crazy. But I am going to do it. So if this is the parent inventory, we should do something different instead of just returning. Which is... No, I have no idea which box is open. How can I tell which box is open? Do I need to put things in a box in this game? Is there a use case for putting something back in a box? I don't think that there is at the moment. Let's just add a second... Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to add a second box. We're going to prove that we can put multiple things in boxes and take them out. And that's going to be it. Boxes are take things out of only. We can also maybe put in a check later that if there's nothing left in the box, maybe that menu doesn't show up. But that's actually not necessary. That feels like a polish item for like the end. So, where is this box? Box, be duplicated. This is going to contain another yellow juice. That's actually fine, but it's not great. But there's a box also that's going to be in zone 1. Let's move that box. Hello? Move box? No? Ah. Oh, and it has the... Oh, and the item stays with it. That's kind of good, actually. But this is the zone 2 box. So we're going to put a box in zone... Let's put this actually in zone 3 as well. Not like that. So we're going to put this box in zone 3 with its own yellow potion, which is fine. Or it's yellow juice, we called it. And if the game handles there being multiple boxes fine, we're actually going to call it here for tonight. Because I do think I'm just a little too worn out for this. That doesn't look very good. Interesting. What has happened there? So my theory is this is happening because this zone 3 is deactivated at the beginning. So it's not because there's multiple containers, it's because we put a container in a zone that starts as not active. Oh man, okay, so that means, how do we make this work then? Because basically what's happening is this zone is deactivating first, and so the thing where this yellow juice is supposed to get, this yellow juice icon is supposed to get like gobbled up, is not working. You say, I don't trust the Guardian to make up its definition because it sounds one letter like another term. That's really inflammatory for a news outlet and unprofessional. I guess it depends on if it's true or not. I don't know. I didn't know about this before today. I don't really feel like I'm able to weigh in on this. Oh, Mingus came out so good. That's like the best thing we made today. How do I fix this? So the thing where this gets packed in, that's working correctly because it's getting turned into an icon. But it's not that icon is not being deactivated, which it needs to be. So the question is, where is the icon deactivated? It's probably deactivated by an inventory, if I remember. Add item icon. This is an add, so on start, add item icon item. Cool. Their source? I heard. Like Jesus, what happened to journalism? That is not a good source, I guess. But again, I don't really know the etymology here. It's something where I'm not so attached to using that term that I probably would just avoid it. Even if, I think that's honestly kind of enough for me to go on, but I guess what would make it a slam dunk if they had, like, I don't know, what, a source from that time using the idiom in a literal sense. Okay, let's do it like this. Yeah, I'm too tired for this. I can fix this. We can fix this one more thing and then we'll be done. If parent inventory.gameObject component, blah, 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 what I need to do is look for where do we deactivate that game object or that icon or remove it from the screen. Hey, I'm working on a small reverse Metroidvania for a jam, so your stream name got my attention. I'll lurk a bit for some future inspiration. Any tips on level designing for a Metroidvania? Darabo1, welcome. We're right at the end of the stream just because I'm so dang tired. I think we gotta wrap it up. But we're not at level design yet, if I'm honest. We're still writing all of our kind of core mechanics. I wish. I am more likely to, I think I'm as likely to need level design advice from you as you are to get it from me, if I'm completely honest. Noodle says replace it with the bacon, the bread, the dough, the funky, the juice, the marmalade, Vegemite. Replace journalism? What am I doing? So what is our problem right now? Let's review again. So the problem is, we've got this item, it goes into our container, right? But the problem is, the UI icon for the item in the container doesn't get deactivated as it's supposed to. So where does the icon get deactivated? That's what I needed to know. Right. It seems like it would be deactivated after... Don't spend too much time on it the first time. Let people play it, note all the points that get stuck too. Redo the whole thing, repeat. This is good advice. Yeah. For any game. And we've sort of been doing that. I've been... Do Americans have Vegemite? Not really. We know what it is, but we don't eat it regularly. Yeah, I've been putting builds on itch, but it's, again, we're still really, really at the early phase. But you're right that we do need to get out something more playable soon. Where is it being deactivated? Boop, 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 boop. Seems like it would be in inventory. That's where we were looking, right? I keep losing my train of thought. I thought my map was perfect, and one player found like 3 places to get hard stuck. Okay. What engine do you use to build your game, out of interest? We're doing it in Unity, and I'm rolling a lot of my own stuff here, which is probably not the most efficient way to stand up something for a game jam. Also, why do they get stuck? Also an interesting question. Oh, I think by hard stuck noodles they mean like you fall in a hole that you can't jump out of. Would be an example of getting hard stuck. That's not every example of being hard stuck, but like you get to a place that there's no way to leave. Okay, so when I add the item not removed from screen, this dot add item icon, item. Let's look at my container. Pick upable container is 3. Set inventory.set active false. So this isn't getting called for some reason, and the reason is that inventory is being... So I would bet that this box collider is also not going to be there, even though it should. If everything is working as expected, or working correctly, this collider should be present, and also, but deactivated. And I bet that it doesn't exist at all. Unreal. Did a lot in Unity a while ago and wanted to learn Unreal anyway, so Jam was the perfect opportunity. Nice. Yeah, Darabo says, it's just flaws in design. I take abilities away from the player each round so they have less mobility to get around. You have to plan a lot in advance. Oh, I see. And so if you planned it the wrong way, is there a way you could get stuck in an area? So let's confirm this, sorry, as a side note. So in Zone 3, we've got our box. The box does not have... So see how this box has a box collider 2D? This box also has a box collider 2D. Nope, I don't know what's real. So why is the inventory not... Why is this active still? Let's go look at inventory. So when I say set active in my inventory, Oh, reverse Metroidvania. So getting in places you can't escape from. Yeah, exactly. I had to make sure that there was always a path to reach the level's goal. The level's goal. Right. For game object go in this icon game objects. So is this not getting called at all? This is the next thing. Now it's working fine at the moment. No hard stucks lately. Nice. Let's see. Can I fix this right now? Do I even have the presence of mind to do this? So this seems like it's not getting called the way that it should be. Because we're trying to set active to false here. Clean up items and hide. Clean up and add the items added in editor. Why not? Why not? Does setting active raise an error or something, or error out if I try to set it to the thing that it is? But the jam ends in 9 hours and it's 3 a.m. here, so yeah, not that much I could do anyway now. Seems fair to me. How long was the jam for? How long were you working on your project for? Like literally, if I do this, this won't fix the problem, will it? A week. Oh wow, okay, that's impressive. Please, I hope this doesn't fix the problem. I'll feel very embarrassed if it does. I don't think so. I think the order is not the problem. Yeah, good. Okay, thank God. Honestly, thank God. Let's just put that back the way it was. Monday, how to print a string. Unreal. Sunday, meh, good enough. Seems like the right, yeah, seems like the right thing. So we did a, game jam in Unity in, the fall that was like a, so there's a scripting language called Ink, which you use for writing like visual novels and stuff. So we did this ink jam, and anyway, that's not important. What's important is the jam was 72 hours, and like by the end, I was definitely there. There's clips of that where I'm just like so tired, circles under the eyes, and I was just like, it's fine, everything is fine. This is a problem, it's fine, don't worry about it. No, people were like, oh, can we add this thing? No, we can't add this thing, we're done, it's fine. It's good. Sunday, 11 p.m., how to sacrifice soul to slow down time. I was working on Unity on a Mac. I had to use a virtual machine once to compile a game for iOS. It was such a pain. So I haven't tried to compile for iOS. Newts, exactly. Could use a few more days to polish stuff. I think that's always going to be the case with a game jam game. I've only been compiling things for web with Unity so far. It seems to work okay. But I haven't tried to do anything for iOS, so I'm not sure. Oh, or do you mean that compiling for iOS from a Windows machine was difficult? Or Linux or whatever you're using. Yeah, exactly. Got it. Yeah, no, we're only targeting the one SKU right now. But even then, there's been some funky stuff. There was definitely like some Googling of like, hey, why is this stopping at 99% loading? And there's like a weird setting you have to click in the project settings to make it work. Okay. Otherwise, it's 699%. Windows running a VM with macOS compiling a Unity project that was done on a PC. So many errors. If it makes you feel better, for a long time, because I stream games most of the time, we just do game jams as like a funny little side thing. And for the longest time, I was playing on an iMac. This actually is the iMac. I was playing on a 2013 iMac, running Windows on a boot camp partition. And like, there were so many games we just couldn't play. It was kind of cool because it gave the channel a bit of a particular flavor of like, okay, we can pretty much only play a game that's in 2D. Even some of those we have trouble with. We played a lot of games from like, 2013 and earlier. We played the 2008 Prince of Persia. That was one that we played on the machine. So I've definitely been there of just trying to work with like a really weird setup. Can definitely just add big nightmares to even the simplest things. And Unity is not one of the simplest things, so I can only imagine how painful that must have been. Okay, this is what I want to do. We're gonna name this yellow potion, or this yellow juice or whatever that's in here. Let's name this something particular. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna log this name and make sure that this is getting set to deactive, because I don't believe that it is. I don't believe. Okay, let's call this other yellow juice. Perfect. And we're gonna log that name. Yeah, it's a shame devs have to put so much effort into supporting all the platforms. I mean, something like Unity or Unreal, you know, these engines in theory should make it easier, but it is, yeah. It is a bit of a a whole thing pretty much unavoidably. Okay, so when we do this, we're also going to say, man, I hate doing this. Debug.log. Can I just do the go.name? And all the things that get deactivated, all the items that get deactivated, the pick-upables, if you will, should log their name when they get deactivated. Let's see it. And I think it's just going to say yellow juice. But if it says yellow juice and other yellow juice, then I'm going to lose my mind. Yellow juice is the only thing that got logged. Okay, so this isn't being called correctly. This is the other thing that we need to see. Let's do... This is the inventory, right? Let's do debug.log. So my theory is this is getting called when there's nothing in the inventory. Yellow snow? Something like that. The items are just placeholders for now. Really, I just needed to be able to tell them apart from each other for the moment. So what have we done? I'll show you what we've got so far, although it's a little bit broken at the moment. And in fact, no, we'll leave it. Okay, so there's a bug at the moment that we're working through, but I'll show it to you and we'll ignore it. Right, so we've got our little jump. Like I said, we're in early days. Let's deactivate this bug by hitting this container. So we've got items we can pick up. They get put in our little inventory here. We can throw them out as well. We can go to container. What we've done today is added containers that we can go up to and click items out of and then throw them out. That's basically, honestly, where we are so far. The problem here is when I'm loading this up, basically the containers on start are packing the items into themselves, but one of them is creating an icon for the item, but then not hiding that icon when it's supposed to be. And the reason is related to the fact that when we're not close to stuff, we're deactivating all the stuff in these zones. So you can see that I've got these 3 different color panels here. These are just showing us where the different zones are right now. And so like everything in this zone is deactivated right now. I like it. Throwing stuff is always a plus. That's what I figure. I figure throwing stuff with physics and then also like looking into a box and finding a surprise thing, I feel like are like good core kind of at a fundamental level, just kind of fun things to do. Oh yeah, so I was gonna say if we go over here, you'll see that all this stuff is gone too. But that code is not playing nicely with the container code that we've just added. So that seems to be the source of the problem. Okay, so why? Okay. But the next thing that I need to check is I want to make sure that this is being called. So set active is, my theory is set active is being called, or this set active to false, but not until after the items are packed away. So basically, my theory is that these things are happening in the wrong order. Debug.log, and we'll call this just write ding. Perfect. And so if we see 2 dings and the word yellow juice, but not other yellow juice, then it would support our theory. Waiting for it. Ding, yellow juice. 2 dings, 1 yellow juice. That's what we like to see. Okay, so how do we make these things happen in the right order? Or is there a way that we can put the logic to pack things away into this container instead of putting them on the items? That's probably the thing to do. Let's go to item icon, which is on our 2. Great. See, so, nope, I'm wrong. Where are we packing things away? Where am I adding these things here? Add component box collider 2D. open. Am I doing this on the pick-upables? Wow, I just don't remember. Let's see. Pick-upable is 4. Okay. Yeah, so these are both in start, but they're not being called in the order that we want, maybe? Placed programmatically. No, I'm still wrong. Well, we just did this earlier today. Where did we... Where did we add these items to this inventory? Let's take a look. Or where did we pack up the items that are in this inventory? Remove from screen is what I'm looking for, right? So let's look for remove. Okay, pick-upable is not calling remove from screen anywhere. That's fine. Pick-upable container is not calling remove from screen anywhere. That is maybe the one that is surprising to me. I literally just did this. Is this calling it anywhere? No. Add item icon. Remove from screen. Here it is. It's in the inventory. Okay. So the problem is the pick-upable container is initializing before the inventory does. Right. So, can we move this into that pick-upable container class instead? And make sure, so basically move all, find references to all of the things that we need in here from the perspective of this container. I think that we should be able to, because we have a pointer to the inventory it belongs to right here, right? That we're setting in the editor. So, theorized fix. We can do this maybe from here instead. Sweet mercy. Okay, so for each pick-upable item in this .inventory items, no, we're going to instead, yes, in this .inventory items. If item.gameObject does not equal null, then we remove it from screen and we add the icon. Then we deactivate this inventory. I think this will fix it. I'm not gonna say that I'm 100% sure, but I think this will fix it. And if we're fixed, we're gonna jump out here. But first, inventory items is inaccessible due to its protection level. You're quite right, game. And for that reason, let me just make this public because I am absolutely exhausted. Let's do it. Add item icon. It has no. Yeah, you're totally right. This should not be this. It should be this .inventory, but not capitalized. I'm not removed from screen. This .inventory .add item icon. Okay, cool. We might move other stuff around from. Oh, it also needs to be made public. That also checks out. So maybe like add item icon needs to be moved out of the inventory and into the container. Well, no, because the player has an inventory too. This was a bad idea. I thought I was going to be really smart writing an inventory class that could be used for both the player's inventory and for the inventory of containers, but I think it's causing more problems than it's solving. I think it's just... Okay, well that did seem to fix the problem. So those things were happening out of order. They're not happening out of any order anymore. You can see other yellow juice and yellow juice both logged. That's good. That's what we want to see. When I walk over these things, I can see the items. I can throw them. I am going to call it there, man. Wow. Okay. We got to think about... We did not meet our goal for today, which was... The goal was lock in what mechanics we want and start to work on them. Instead, I spent the whole day trying to make containers work. So that's good, technically. But in terms of everything else that we were going to do, we sure didn't do it. But let's all the same call it here for now. What do we need to do next? So during the week, I need to actually finish these other items. Clicking on stuff in the UI, we did figure that out. We didn't do recipes. I would say that we did better UI and better UI controls because we did a lot of refactoring there. Materials on platforms we didn't do. Recipes we didn't do. Combining stuff we didn't do. So these are the things I need to work on ASAP this week. And then hopefully we can lock in the rest of the mechanics during the week. And on the stream next Saturday, hopefully we can start looking at the layout of this game. I think that is the hopefully will be a little bit more interesting to watch. I do think that we're spending a little too much time on stream in the editor, in the Emacs, the text editor, and not enough in the level editor. And so I hope that we can amend that. But tell you what, let's call it here for now. Bam, when will we be back next time? Because I don't have a calendar on this computer. We'll be back tomorrow from 6 to 10 with some Minecraft. But if you want to see more of the Game Jam, we'll be back next week on Saturday at 6 to 10. Hopefully we'll be doing something a little bit more visually interesting than what we've seen so far. But we'll see. Man, oh man, oh man, if you watched any of this live today, thank you so much for watching live. And if you watched this as a recording or on YouTube, you didn't watch this on YouTube, but if you did, thank you so much for watching that way too. And until next time, I will see you later.